this child that I witnessed that uh, people used to come in and as speakers and everything else, and then they used to say that the youth is the future of the country. The youth is coming up, and the youth is going to handle the nation in the future. The youth will decide the course of this country. Well, today at IPN YUVA Conclave, I'm proud that we have such an amazing youth that has come up with so many ideas and so many philosophies during the whole screening process and everything else that we are really, really grateful to have you over here. It's been a really, really long time that I found so many amazing speeches at one go. So today, when we start, first thing that we need to keep in our mind is that we make sure that we keep our speeches really clear and we come up with a vision that also helps us bring this country, which also helps us grow this country. IPN YUVA is a unique platform that has been created in the ages of India's principal network. The intent for the whole event is to discuss the prime importance of becoming future with the people who will not only face the maximum impact of these ideas and issues, but also play a key role in finding our future. I will also like to emphasize on the fact that this event was initially planned with just 50 panelists from across the country. However, because of the overwhelming response given to us by you, and also the extreme quality of speeches and essays that were sent by you, the evaluation jury spent days and nights and concluded that we should probably select 75 speakers as a part. And as a part of the evaluation jury, I can also vouch for the fact that if we really had a 2-day or a 3-day long event, we probably would have a much more longer list of speakers coming in. Honestly, I feel grateful that I will be able to witness some of the finest discussions, unlike many of the 9 p.m. debates that we hear on the news channels. Also, one of the most important things that needs to be said is I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the person without whom this IPN YUVA Conclave would not have been possible. It has turned out this way because of his guidance, his scoldings, his motivation. Curating this whole event would not have been possible within the matter of few days. He's someone I proudly consider my mentor, and none other than the man who created the India's principal network from scratch and brought this amazing opportunity to have IPN YUVA Conclave 2021. Mr. Gaurav Yadav, we are extremely grateful for your presence, sir, and facing this opening ceremony. I hereby, on behalf of the entire IPN fraternity, request you to provide your words of wisdom to the wisest kids of the country. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, this is, I often say this whenever I meet wonderful young students like everyone who is part of this conversation, because they are the majority of the audience, and I'm sure there are not many of our guests, if I may say, who have joined us, very, very esteemed principals, directors, founders of various institutions who are with us. I would like to not take much of your time, but firstly, I would like to welcome each one of you to today's very, very, I would say personally, if you have to give me a choice, I will say this is my favorite event of the year, if I may say. We do a lot of programs involving school leaders, founders, teachers, but then, as I said, my personal favorite remains this one. And obviously that's no brainer, you all can understand why. Because I personally believe that the more time we invest with you, the more we get to know you, and the more better can we present things to you which are actually your voice in a way. Now, Aditya has very beautifully, any which way, articulated how this entire event has been shaped up. It was really earlier, I mean, a couple of months ago, it was not even on our cards in terms of do this, but when we realized that there is something of this nature is missing, we thought, why don't we do it for that matter, right? Now, I will not really convolute you with many jargonized words. You all are all sensible. You are all very, very young, enthusiastic, if I may say, right? But I can certainly say for sure that what is our core idea of doing this? What is the principle, or what is the core philosophy around this program, right? Which is, as simply put, if I can say this, we want to hear from you as to how and which way schooling of our country, and I would say the region of South Asia, because there are a lot of speakers from that region as well, would look like. Okay, what you really want to be taught to you, what really to you is worth assessing, if I may say, right? Right? We give up a lot of examinations, but at times we feel that, was it really worth giving that examination? Right? Those are the questions which usually you yourself question, if I may say. So I certainly believe that I'm not here to make you all rebels. No, that's not the idea. But obviously the idea is to make you question things. And that's the way I have always believed, that being an entrepreneur myself, I have always believed you get better answers when you question them. Okay. So without, as I said, we are already a little behind our schedule. I will really not like to take much of your time because I will be off and on meeting you during the course of the day. But I will take still 2 or 3 minutes to tell you that it is all curated keeping in mind all of you, which means fabulous panels. The way I have seen Aditya, Akanksha working on this, and in fact, all our moderators who will be somewhere or the other joining this conversation, if they're already not here, I can tell you that they all put in a lot of hard work in terms of thinking through this, not just putting anything in front of you. So we have, as I said, we have 8 panels during the course of the entire day. All of you, as I said, came through a process, which means you are here through merit. You got selected to be here. So firstly, I call upon everyone to give yourself a round of applause because you deserve to be here, first of all, right? So that's where first thing should begin with this, that you are not here randomly. Understand this. You have been through a process, made part of this. So I think that's first battle won. So you should feel good about yourself. As I said, if you don't feel good about yourself, trust me, it doesn't come out that way. Remember that. If you will not believe in yourself, no one else will. That's the philosophy I have always believed in. You need to be your biggest supporter. You need to be your biggest appreciator of yourself. You should be your biggest, I would say, right, what I call the mojo moment will be always with you, that I am the mojo of this conversation, right? So first things first, every one of you should be beyond this tiny tipsy pressure. If you have nothing, this is where you deserve, and hence you are. And trust me, it wasn't an easy bit of selection as well. No matter if you feel 150 schools are not big enough, trust me, I mean, it is at least far bigger a competition than your own class, right? Because otherwise you end up competing only with your class, right? So it's a fair competition, I would say. It's a fair competition, and fairly you are here. And as I know, all my jury members must be also there. I would like to thank them as well, because I was not part of that process because I wanted to keep myself out. But Aditya, Mr. Ali, Miss Nancy, whoever here part of this, and in fact, Ayan, who were part of the jury process, they had to really, really make some tough choices when they were selecting you, right? So now, obviously, hygiene stuff, I will not talk about that. Maintain the decorum, give it to your best. I'm sure all of that you will already do. Now, what I really want is that, we all, number one, follow the guidelines. When the moderator comes to you, they will give you a set of guidelines. Please follow those guidelines, because as I mentioned to you, we will like to catch up or be very much on time the way we have planned it. Okay. Even as I say, we are exceeding by 5 minutes or so, we will catch up that way somewhere or the other through our either, as I said, moderation, or whichever way, as I said, will require, because I'm sure a lot of you will get or draw cold feet as well. That will happen, but that's part and parcel of life. Don't put again a lot of pressure. Oh my God, what happened? This is just the beginning of what you will be in life, not the end of anything, right? So because I have done this so many times, you know, first time ever, whenever I was I used to be on stage to go out and say news, right, in our school. we had this a little area wherein someone will come and say the daily news sort of stuff. And I remember the first time I went on stage, I was frozen. There's a movie Frozen, right? And I literally froze on stage. And I thought till then that I was a very good speaker. And sadly, that was a reality check for me, right? But then it happened. It happened, but did I bog down from there? It never happened to me the next time because I experienced it very early in my life. And similarly, even if you guys today, some of you will draw cold feet, fantastically, perfectly okay. Trust me, you can say, Gaurav sir, you also had the cold feet. So did I. You had it in class 12th, I had it in class 9th. So I am better than you. Absolutely. Bang on. Right? Take back at least one or two key takeaways, not more. I'm sure you will not be able to implement anything more than one you take back. Trust me on that. That is always the thing which happens to all of us. Right? So if at all I'm adding value to this conversation, as I said, my compliments to everyone who has put this together. My compliments to each one of you who are here today, all 75 of you who have been shortlisted through a process. Let's have a great day. Let's have a great conversation. Let's stick around to the theme which we have worked out. As I said, I'm not good at giving sermons or speeches for that matter. I'm here to give you a very practical perspective, which I say every, and I will keep talking to you as we go along during, because I will be more or less listening to each one of you during your panel discussions for that matter, right? So one more thing, possibly just which I would say, this is not a debate. So let's not contest, which means that someone will have their point of view. You will have to respect that point of view instead of possibly saying a counter view for that matter. Okay, so this is a conversation. This is a dialogue. This is where we hear your point of view. We want to listen in on the topics which has been given to you. And I'm sure that's the way we will run this show. Okay, so I hand it over to Aditya for context setting, which more or less I have done it, but I'll say he will detail it out for any more further, I would say. And then let's start the today's proceedings as we have planned. All the very best, everybody, and have a great day. And as I said, enjoy this and have fun. That's the more important thing in life than anything else. If you don't feel good about it, why the point? You are here for that matter. So have a great day.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. Guys, so today we'll be having 8 panel discussions covering 5 different themes: entrepreneurship, sustainable development goals, environment, after that, modern day schooling. So every panel discussion will have one moderator who has been preparing really hard to conduct this panel discussion. So we will look forward to you supporting them. And now, how do you support? So every moderator has a certain set of questions that have already been forwarded to you in the WhatsApp groups. I hope you have looked into them and I hope you have studied about them. The questions will be directly pointed to you. So if the moderator takes out your name and ask you the question, it's you who has to answer. And we don't want any kind of group answers happening over here. We don't want it to be a 9 p.m. debate. Make sure your answers are to the point and not very big. Make sure they are under 4 minutes. Other than that, make sure you use parliamentary language. Make sure you use decent behavior, and make sure that everything that you say is factual or philosophical, but try not to use any kind of discriminatory words. And I hope you have a great day. Now, moving on to the first panel discussion today. The first panel discussion is pretty close to me and something that I really believe in. That is empowering women through entrepreneurship. For this panel, our moderator is Ms. Priya Gupta. So, Priya Gupta is the founder of IPN Foundation, an NGO that promotes women entrepreneurship and sustainability across India. As a young social entrepreneur, Priya embarked her journey towards establishing a community that promotes equitable and cohesive living in the society. She believes that in order to bring social prosperity, it is extremely necessary to change the mindset of the people. Hence, creating a mass movement in the concerned areas is the catalyst. Also an inspiring speaker, Priya regularly addresses the forum to reconstruct cognition with the help of conflict transformation and psychodynamic techniques. Being a regular speaker on leadership, innovation, and social entrepreneurship, she motivates the youth to take actions and implement them early in their life, marching towards becoming the future of incredible India. Her working experience with startups and various government organizations brings sound consulting skills to the board. I'm really glad to have you, Priya. Over to you.
You'll have to just give me her name, so you have to make her a co-host with you. Priya, right?
Priya Gupta.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Priya.
All right. So, hi everybody. Good morning, and it's a weekend, Saturday. I'm actually feeling lucky to have this kind of interaction with the youth. And before that, I would like to thank Aditya, also Mr. Gaurav, for such an inspiring speech. I'm not going to give any speech about it. Aditya has already introduced me enough. I am the founder of an NGO, which I started a couple of years ago, and that's about women entrepreneurship. We promote women entrepreneurship, sustainability, and since NGO is related to the welfare of the society, we do anything to, bring the prosperity of our nation and a community. All right. So today, if there are almost 200 students, I'll say almost 200 because it's 171. So yeah, and coming from different areas and demographics of India, that would be an enriching experience for both of us. All right. Why? Because it's a learning process which comes from both sides. No matter of your age, no matter of your background, no matter of your experience. All right. So today, as Mr. Gaurav has rightly mentioned, you have to take at least one learning from this, and that one learning should be what you have learned from this whole webinar and discussion, or through different panels. What you have learned. All right. Not somebody else's opinion. Always listen to the opinions, research on it, and then accept the values. All right. Outgrow yourself. So that is a one key skill which all of you are going to learn today. That is outgrow yourself. Okay. So uh, keeping other things aside, as we are going to put questions from each other, I'm going to put questions from the students. I have the list. All right. I have the set of questions, but please remember one thing. Since I'm coming from a background which is totally related to women entrepreneurship, I'll ask you questions which are very relevant during pandemic. It's not just the questions which were given to you by, Mr. Aditya, because I really need to know what students are thinking or doing to promote such issues in India, especially during this distress. All right. So before much delay, I'll ask each one of you to whom I'm gonna put question to first think about why do we talk about women entrepreneurship in 2021 and why is it a matter of shame? In this way, you will be able to decode how to answer your questions properly. The second point is if we are aware of the fact that it's already a shame on us that we are talking about women entrepreneurship in this year 2021, in the 21st century, then how can we actually bring about the change? What changes can we pursue with respect to different segments? And those segments are political, social, legal, psychological, and technical, etc. All right, historically as well. So if somebody who is a good reader or have been reading a lot of history, you would have uh, observed a few things which led us or leading us to promote such issues. For example, even sustainability in 2021, because as a matter of fact, nobody is dumb enough to not follow, or to not pursue the things which are good for society. The main issue is we are not aware enough. If we are aware enough, we don't do anything to do, to make a change, to make an impact. All right. So kids, I'm also coming, I'm not like very elder to you. There is no generation gap. But yes, I'm elder to you with respect to the experiences I'm having this in this forte. All right. So in the end of the discussion, if you'd like to ask any question with respect to India, the history, not only about women entrepreneurship, what I have faced as a female entrepreneur in the last couple of years while working with the government, while working with different organizations, even with United Nations. So you can ask that by the end of the session. All right. So before much delay, I'll start putting the questions first. And the first question would be for mm, Bhumika Jain. All right. So Bhumika Jain is present here. If yeah, all right. So the first question is, do you think there is a need to encourage more women in entrepreneurship? And with their presence across so many fields, how do you think entrepreneurship creates a boost in women empowerment? This is a very interesting question.
Good morning. I am Bhumika Jain from Mahesh Public School of Class 10. And I personally feel that we have to encourage, inspire, and motivate women to become an entrepreneur. Because as an entrepreneur, woman will not only make wealth for herself and her organization, but she will also raise the standard of living of nation. Even she will give answer to the Indian mindset that says or sees the woman as a follower, not a doer. And women empowerment, entrepreneurship is the future of India. Entrepreneurship is the future of modern society.
Bhumika, take a minute, all right? Take a second, deep breath low, all right? Take a deep breath and give the answer. Speak from your mind. Don't think कि हम आपको सुन रहे हैं. Just speak from your mind. All right, what you think as a girl of India, why women entrepreneurship necessary? That's it. Nobody's going to judge you. I'm here to learn from you, not to judge you, right? So be comfortable.
And even as a woman entrepreneur, she will become an inspiration to other women. As the family thinks or the tradition of India thinks that women are born for baby makers, not money makers. This is the biggest myth. And by becoming the woman entrepreneur, all the women give the correct answer to them. So, women empowerment is an innovative success mantra for development of India. And nowadays, even women are acquiring a sustainable position in social life, economic activities, and also in decision process among the family. That when there is a development of women, village develop, family develop, and nation develop. And this is very, very much important for women to become an entrepreneur, as she can give answers of all the myths, as like Indian tradition thinks that women having baby don't have time for their business venture. But some successful women entrepreneurs like Vandana Luthra, Dr. Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, even the first entrepreneur in India, Kalpana Saroj, also gave the best answer to them. And I feel that the encouraging and inspiring women is very good.
So, Bhumika, what according to you is the meaning of entrepreneurship? What is entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship is the process of designing, launching, and running a business. So, entrepreneurship is even synonymous with resourcefulness and ability to take calculated risk in order to introduce new untested products in the marketplace. And women have the clarity of imagination, and they can prove themselves by becoming an entrepreneur.
Yes. So, since entrepreneur is not a gendered statement, is it right?
Yes.
We still think about women entrepreneurship, right? And as per the answer that you have given, you talked about women would be this, that, the kind of values which women are going to add to entrepreneurship, right? But what, according to you, should be done to eliminate the word of woman entrepreneurship word from our dictionary? So, what you think could be done to remove that word from our dictionary, from daily languages and the working and lives?
A successful woman entrepreneur is the who I mean, a successful woman entrepreneur is the is a person who builds her firm foundation by the bricks thrown on her. So I think that she can prove her by just giving employment for other women. As if women support other women, then the results will be incredible.
I'll just, I'm sorry to cut you off here. This is a wrong mindset. And the reason is, see, don't take it in a negative way. Don't take those criticism in a negative way. I'm just here to, make you learn something which the society has developed kind of hysteria, right? So society always think and tells us that women have to prove their value. We don't have to prove our value. We have the values like the men, right?
Yes,
And another point I'd like to mention here, since entrepreneurship is not a gendered statement, what we are required to do as a society is to remove the gender disparity out of entrepreneurship or the society, right? Like you correctly mentioned, there are different women entrepreneurs who gave a very interesting, answer to that why women entrepreneurship is necessary in our economy. And the answer were, I know, the answer that they had given to this question, it revolved around one thing, that we should be allowed and accepted in the society in the same way as men are there since several years, right? हम ये सोचते हैं, but we don't implement it. Why? Because, for example, I'll just give a very common example to all of you, जो आप रोज देखते हैं. We women having a zipper in our pants is worthless, right? Medical equipments are not designed as per the women need. It's not just about India, it's about the whole world, right? But when it comes to India, due to cultural differences of history, we are facing it, right? Now you can conclude your answer after hearing this. So don't go through the whatever you have written down the copy, right? Just aap socho and answer me. Either it's in Hindi or English, doesn't matter to me, just answer.
Actually, ma'am, first of all, I want to say that I said that, actually, you said that women have values, but I think that in some societies and even in villages, women were not allowed to even talk to males. Parda system is followed, and I want that to be removed from nation. So I was saying about it. And even woman herself means wealth creator, optimistic, motivated, appreciator or achiever and nice. She always focus on her goal. Like focus means itself follow one course until success. So uh, this is very much important. I mean, women have to focus on her goals. Don't have to follow the tradition.
No, traditions are really
I mean,
important.
traditions about like parda system and don't talk to men, don't go for schools and like that. That
Yeah,
tradition.
so see, when people are not allowing us to follow the values, it doesn't mean that we don't have values. And
We have
you'll,
values.
yeah, so you will learn by the time that traditions have two aspects: what the society has created and what had been there, right? So again, there are positive and negative impacts of it. आप अगर कुरान या गीता की बात लेंगे ना, उसमें जो चीजें नहीं भी लिखी वो लोग बोलते हैं, because this is what people have made hysteria of. So that is what we need to focus upon, right? I think this question has been enriching enough of all of you listening to us, not just Bhumika. So yes, thank you so much, Bhumika. The next question to Twinkle Diman. So Twinkle Diman, yes. Hi Twinkle, how are you doing? Are you audible? Am I audible? Am I audible? Can you hear me? All right. So the next question is, what aids do you think the government can provide to encourage more women entrepreneurs?
Yeah, can we have Twinkle Is Twinkle there? Virtual show of hands so that we can help you unmute? I don't think so. She's there.
But Twinkle isn't over here.
Yeah. Next question. Next participant, Priya.
Still? All right. The next is Aishwarya Gupta.
Yeah, Aishwarya, now you'll have to unmute.
She's there.
Yeah, I'm there. Hi.
Hi, Aishwarya. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So first of all, I'm giving this advice to each one of you. Take a deep breath before answering the question. All right? That creates a stable mindset. The next question is, what aids do you think the government can provide to promote women entrepreneurship in India?
According to me, I think that what women actually lacks in India is the funding, the experience, and the mentorship. So the government could provide awareness programs to change the thinking of the women in the rural areas as well as urban areas, because we are always talking about that men underestimates us, but the main thing is women also don't have, many of the women also don't have the confidence to come up on the stage and speak up. And entrepreneurship is all about sharing your views and making a change in the world, bringing a new idea. So, to provide a platform to women, government should provide awareness programs along with the proper funding, with the proper education, and I think free education, because to start a business, you need money.
All right. So, Aishwarya, you rightly mentioned that women lack confidence, not just in rural areas, but urban areas as well. And the second point, which I heard, was it's important to make them aware about rights. And women taking the other women down is not the solution to it, right? It's very important to support each other. Again, comes to one point. Yes, it's important to make a woman realize that it's important for us, women one, to support women two and three as a community. But it's very important for us to teach the society, especially the venture capitalist. You know what a venture capitalist is, right? You give fund to the women entrepreneurs or the entrepreneurs in general. All right. That what value women can add to the society. I'll just give one example over here. If you have read one news that Google had created a pregnant women friendly parking into the organization's physical structure, infrastructure, right? So why did they develop it? Because women, not into the executives, but one of the women in Google was the board of directors. She got pregnant and she couldn't walk when she was pregnant to the office. She realized that this should be done for the pregnant women, right? So how she supported other women is this is one of the example of it. But in real life, see, I am working with the incubation center of IIT Delhi. So where we promote women entrepreneurship in India. All right. So there we interact with women entrepreneurs of India. And the one major thing that we focus or get to hear from women entrepreneurs, we don't get the opportunity to speak about our product. Okay. First. Second, even if they speak, they are not accepted. Why? Because all of the members of venture capitalists or the people who provide funds to the entrepreneurs are male. So what we need is women in leadership, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as Bhumika also mentioned one thing, she talked about the skills, the leadership skills which are required. So she talked about how we can promote those skills. That is the courage, motivation, inspiration, etc. So that is a trait of a leader, right? Which we need to imbibe into women of India, right? So yeah. So now, what do you think government can do for India, not any other country? The government can do for India because there are certain policies, there are certain laws, procedures. So can you mention anything 2 or 3 laws, or even one law which the government has, changed or implemented or introduced in our society to promote either women entrepreneurs or women in general? Have you heard any of it?
Uh, if we're talking about that, that the government has provided some laws for the betterment for girls and women. That is the main thing that we all know, Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, because education is very important in any of the field, whether it is entrepreneurship or any other profession. So this was the one law which I know according to me, and I think that what government should do according to the policies is that first of all spread awareness, and second of all um, connect people to female entrepreneurs who already exist, so that they can provide the motivation and inspiration to do work and tell the what's the real secret behind achieving your goals. Especially when you're women, you face a lot of discrimination around your society, because we never know from whom and where a person is belonging to. The family matters a lot. To come up with the ideas, to come up with the decisions, a woman take a lot of challenge. And to start anything, whether it's business or anything like studies and everything, it is very difficult for a woman to cope up into a male dominating society.
All right, all right. This is a very good answer, Aishwarya. Thank you so much. All right, so next question would be,
Yeah, if you can take up, Twinkle is here. So she had some network problem. So you can, Twinkle.
uh,
Yeah.
Twinkle. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
You're there now. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Twinkle, how are you doing? All fine?
Yes, ma'am.
The question from you is, why do you think that people think that women need to not, resist themselves to just or imbibe themselves into their household and come out and work for the nation or economy or work in any sector, be it private or public? Why do you think that such mindset is prevailing into our nation? Not only in our nation, in our world.
In this genesis, when a woman is a head of an organization, people do look at her with skepticism and suspicion, and that's very erroneous, to be honest. And when a woman is the head of a particular organization, she will not only create wealth for herself and her organization, but raises the nation's standard of living. In nowadays, people witnesses women only as a follower rather than an executor, and it's a datum that 50% of the India's population is of women as well. So by neglecting women as an executor, you are just ruining the country's economy. And if women are supported in their urge to work and finance and become financially independent, their earnings would lead to a big lead in GDP.
Absolutely. So, what do you think that either it's the drawbacks of a tradition, culture, or a mindset? What has impacted our society to think like that? Not only men, but women also think in the same line.
It's the country's it's a country's mindset that think that the women can't do anything because they are weak or something like that, but it's totally wrong, in my opinion, because they should also have the right to work as an entrepreneur, because the 50% of India's population is of women as well. And if they don't work, the country's economy will ruin itself.
Right. Since 50, I think more than 50, I would say, the population of
Yes,
women.
ma'am, more than 50%.
And another thing which I would like to mention here is it's not just the traditions which most of the students here are, coming from different segments of India, think about that our tradition or culture is ruined. No, India has a very enriching tradition and culture. Please mind that. So since you are students and you're learning, everybody is learning, but you students are still in school and not stepped out into the world in reality. It's very important for you to realize that India as a country has a very rich tradition. Read that from different books. Okay,
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
only mention that our tradition is like that because this kind of mindset is there into the whole world. Just talk about the period of before industrialization in Europe. Industrialization changed the whole era of putting women into households to the industries, then to the big corporates, and now into the leadership position like Angela Merkel, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
what you can do, you can learn from the European model, that how and what did they do as a society, as a government, or as a person, as an individual, to make an impact into the sector of women entrepreneurship or the value of women in our society and community. All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Thanks, Twinkle. It was a great answer.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
I like your confidence.
Thank you, ma'am.
So the next question is from Shikha P. Anithan. Is she available?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Shikha.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Shikha. How are you doing?
Hi, ma'am. I'm fine. Thank you.
All right. So how do you think we can have more women entrepreneurs coming in from the weaker section of the society?
Right. Ma'am, I personally think that the one way to get women from the weaker sections so as entrepreneurs is the very thing we are doing right now. That is influencing through our words. And it's very simple. Like if I say quote like nothing is impossible, right? And there are many people in the world who just take these three simple words into their life and just call their life mantra and even succeed. And when interviewers ask them what is that made you get success in your life, they say that these three words simply made me have my success. So what I'm saying is, if a person can get influenced by this just simple three words and have success in his life, then you can imagine that how powerfully we can influence if we put the right words with the right tone and with the right force and with the right influencers having them to say. So it's really magical how words can just, even hurt someone in a really bad way and but even heal them in the same. So, like, people say that actions are more powerful than words. But if we take the opposite side of it, we can also prove it because it's not always that opposite is can be taken as negative. It can be positive as well. So if we like I said that if we put the right words, we have millions of words in our dictionary, and if a word just like nothing is impossible can do great wonders, and definitely if we have the right words, and then we can definitely succeed in not only our country, we can change the whole world, and we can change the perception of people towards anything. We can change the mindset of people, the mindedness or whatever we have. We can change that to it now, and we can also have counseling sessions.
I love your answer
I don't know
because
that.
words are really important. Words are
Yes,
really very important. This is one of the value I follow in my life. And yeah, everybody listening out to us today, please remember one thing: any kind of criticism, be it negative or positive, take it on a positive note, right? Because I always say one thing, and my friends are really annoyed with this, that everything happens for good. And they ask me,
Oh,
Priya,
I was saying the same thing.
yeah,
I
and
was
they
saying the
ask,
same thing.
yeah, and they asked me, Priya, how can you be so positive during this distress time as well? And I am like, see, there is no solution until, it's just your mind which takes you act upon something, right? Action or different kind of motivators, different kind of even corporate trainers come and speak a lot. बहुत कुछ बोलते हैं सक्सेस के बारे में बोलते हैं बट इवन आई हैव बीन काइंड ऑफ स्टूडेंट आई ऑलवेज लाइक पीपल who share their failures. So the
Yes,
kind of
that attracts us a lot.
yeah, so the kind of learning you can have from the failures of different people, from the criticisms, that is going to enrich you throughout the life, right? So yeah, when it comes to even supporting women, it's very important for us to use word and develop new words like Shashi Tharoor to support women, right? It's not just about what is there written in our dictionaries, but यार dictionary भी तो हम लोगों ने बनाई है. So let's just like shepreneur. By entrepreneur, we can create shepreneur, right? isn't it? Heroes. ये भी हमने बनाया word. So become a Shashi Tharoor of your own life, right? So yeah, Shika, you want to speak something?
Ma'am, and I actually think that, like there are many great influencers who speakers who give their speeches in the urban areas. But if we could focus them on the parts of our country where we actually need those inspiring words, I think it can be really a good thing to do and
Can
can
be,
create a
and yeah, I mean, this is coming from my personal experience since we work for generally rural and semi-rural areas, women coming from those areas. So when I started this NGO, I kind of realized that what they lack is confidence, what they lack is awareness about the rights which is given to them, not only by the government, which are the human rights, right? The right to speak, the right to express, ये तो सबका right है यार. It's not different to women, isn't it? So
Yeah.
they are not aware about these. So what is important for us to realize is just go and talk to them. हमेशा आप monetarily help नहीं करते सबकी. This is what I always speak when I go into the sessions and webinars, and whenever I have a discussion with anybody. You don't only support through financials, you support by your words, the kind of experience you share with them to motivate them, right? So yeah, this is a very great addition to this discussion, Anita. Shikha, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Good day, ma'am.
You too. Thank you. All right. So next is um, Ome Hani. Is she available from Shining Star International School?
She's not.
Priya, she is not in the meeting. You can.
All right. All right. Then Niharika Vaishnav.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Niharika. How are you doing?
I'm fine, ma'am. How are you?
Thank you so much. So, Niharika, what according to you is the right meaning of feminism, and how can promote women entrepreneurship in India?
Feminism to me means equality and it means strength. And, one of the biggest perks of being an entrepreneur is that you have authority and you are strong. Being an entrepreneur means authority and strength to me. I think ownership and authority are so attractive, especially when it comes to women, because we live in a society where women do not get to be authoritative as much as men. And we all know it. It's sadly the truth. Be it families, be it business, they're subject to blatant sexism and harassment at workplaces. So seeing them being the brains of something big and seeing them rise to the top is a big slap for everyone who underestimated them and everyone who thinks that they're not capable of doing something. And I think
Abs-
this needs to be told to all the women.
yeah, I mean, told or just proved by your action. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Women need to be motivated to prove themselves. Exactly.
yes, absolutely, the correct statement. So, this is one thing which I have faced uh, or experienced, that when you are being bossy, right? So since I'm not just running the NGO, I am working professionally as well, like I mentioned. So this kind of trait is there into me since my school life, right?
Me too, ma'am.
Yeah, मुझे चाहे monitor मत बनाओ, but if there is any project, I'll do it with my heart, and I will be the somebody who is going to speak in front of the whole class, right? Although the first time I blabbered and I failed and I tried, but the next time I think it's not about gender, it's about your experience you develop through going on stage again and again. So although my first experience was very horrible on stage, but slowly I learned that okay, these are the things that I can do. Like I mentioned, that always take a pause and take a deep breath, etc. All right. So yeah, that is a kind of, I would say, addiction you get when you become a leader, the right authority. I mean, women, girls listening out to me, I mean, either you're in 10th, 11th, 12th, doesn't matter. You are coming into the colleges and अभी time है college में आने में. Take the authority, take the right authority, right? And I'll ask each one of you to just think about what is the real meaning of authority and how you can practice it positively, right? क्योंकि काफी बार बोला जाता है, if a girl is being so bossy, she is not, underestimating the men, and which is very wrong, because this is what
And sometimes they are even judged for their sexuality based on this, because like if they are being bossies, they are tomboy or they are lesbian. That happens a lot.
happened with me personally, that because I am bossy and I have the authority, but that is on a positive note. uh, I don't think, as per the discussion we are having, it's already been 45 minutes. I don't think that any one of you would have been thinking, ki, yaar, I have that sort of arrogancy, ki I'll underestimate somebody, right? This is about the personality trait. I don't know why people, add this up to a gender, right?
Right.
So be proud of the word being bossy as a girl and be a leader, be a great leader. So thanks, Niharika. Thanks for the
Thank you,
answer.
ma'am.
Yes. The next question is from Harman Kaur Pabbar, RAN Public School. Is she available? Aditya?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Harman. All right, you're Harman. How are you doing?
Ma'am, how are you?
Great. So the question for you is, women entrepreneurs can be the key to India's dream to be superpower. Do you agree
Yes,
or not? And why?
I surely agree with this point because let's talk of a country like India. So first of all, I just want to make it clear that entrepreneurship is just coming up of new businesses through the ideas which are actually innovations. They're innovative and they see they add to the economy because an entrepreneur is just not a job seeker. He's a job creator. She is a job creator. Talking of women entrepreneurship as a key to India's rise of into the world. So let's talk about a country like India, specifically for a country like India, where what they say we have used all that Sam, Dam, Dand, Ved to become a global power. But all of us know that we far lag behind in this scenario. Our GDP is falling nowadays, and like this is a bad time for the entire world, but it had a major setback on a country, particularly ours. So for a country like India, where we have been referred by the world, see, first of all, let's make it clear: the world does not recognize us for our unity in diversity. The reports of communal riots in the newspaper are way more than the few purest form of religious tolerance in a country. So let's first accept our mistakes, our loopholes, and then we can only work upon them. I just don't want to take this conversation out of the track. It was just an example that we need to accept our mistakes. We have been infamously regarded by the world as a patriarchal society from the last almost 7 decades, and we have been dependent on men for our economic growth, for a GDP growth. But let's give a chance to women. Actually, they don't need any chance. They're self-sufficient themselves. They need not prove themselves. But let's provide them the opportunities because a measure sections of Indian women still is in the households. They don't recognize their full potential. So if women are given those opportunities, that right mindset, that right influence, this can boost our economy. Our economy can touch its height because 50% of our potential, 50% of our population is still behind the doors. So when they'll come out, certainly there is going to be a boom. There's going to be a boost.
Right. Absolutely. So one thing you mentioned, that women need to come out of their households and realize their potential. And we have been patriarchal throughout years. It's not just about 70 years, it's been hundreds of years. Even after industrialization, जो India में तो काफी late आई, in the 7th or 8th year plan, right? 5-year plan I'm talking about. Uh, Even now we are facing that we are not supported enough, right? And the reason is really good that you mentioned. We need to realize our mistake and work upon them, right? India is very diverse with respect to culture, with respect to traditions, with respect to even the youth coming with different mindsets, right? the kind of experience they bring on the table. It's enormous. It's amazing, right? I'm not just talking about the areas like the IIT or the NGO I'm working with into like not with this is our NGO, but as per my own personal experience since my school life or school life से ही life is your first step, then college, then work life, then after that ये सब चलता रहता है. But one thing had been common enough. Nobody realized that they are admitting, nobody admit that they are mistaking upon something. Even if they admit, they have, they don't have the tendency to accept that, okay, this is my mistake, and this is not just about women or men. I'm talking about any gender. Okay? It's not just about male or female, even the homo, right? You need to develop that kind of personality to admit your mistake, work upon them, and create a bright future. And one thing which I always mention is the change begins with you, not just with the people around you. अगर आप ही सही language use नहीं करते, right? हमारी आदत होती है, we always say bro code. We never say sis. Why not? Right? Just ask yourself, why are we using these kind of words, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Like even while defining an entrepreneur, I use the word he. So that was wrong on my part, and I continued.
No, it's all right. At least you realize that, okay, there you were wrong and you corrected it. And you read most of the books, not only the Indian books, not only the textbooks which you read in your school, but also the international authors and booksellers. They use the male dominant language.
Even I remember when I was in class 8th, and I used to like what they say. I used to like irritate my SST teacher because social science was my favorite subject, and I used to just irritate her with my questions at each sentence. I questioned her when we were learning about the court, the requirements, the prerequisites of becoming the judge of a high court and then of a supreme court. In class 8th, it's included. So in every line it was mentioned he. So I questioned her, why doesn't she?
Yeah.
Like just bring a
I
great
mean,
change.
yeah, I mean, recently, if you see, there are certain companies who are changing the words. If you have been following the news, but वो change अब हो रहा है, right? Like
Yeah, your first statement that it's a shame to talk about women empowerment in 21st century. It indeed is.
it is because I think 2 days back I read something that
Hey, Priya,
yeah,
we are running a bit short on time, so we just need to wrap
I
up all
think
the
we have
speeches.
time till 10:50, right?
Right. Yeah, so we can like just
I'll do it. No problem. I'll complete it on time. All right, Aditya.
yes, Priya.
All right.
Let's start with next speaker.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll not cut this question off before completing it. All right. So one thing I was mentioning that 2 days back I have been reading a news in which it was written that an award function internationally eliminated the word hero and heroine and they introduced a word that is performer, and that is a great change. All right. So these kind of change you also do in your day-to-day life and accept your language. Okay. So thank you so much, Aman, for the answer.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah. So the next is Maha Pandey. Is she available?
Good morning, ma'am. Actually, it's Moha. Hi, everyone.
Moha, I'm sorry. I'm not wearing my spectacles, so यार नजर नहीं आ रहा मुझे इतना भी कुछ. All
First
right.
of all, I am so grateful for being here, and I'm so proud that you're working like women empowerment. I personally, I felt goosebumps and I had a lot of points jotted down with me to like speak upon, but now I've like put them aside and I want to speak what's in my heart. So yeah,
That's what I want. That's what I always want from people who are talking to me, be it my friends or my seniors or the people who talk to me. Just speak from your heart and mind. So the question from you is, what are the myths around the entrepreneurship that need to be busted before for the better development of economy and empowerment of women in India?
Moha, are you here?
She's muted.
Sorry, ma'am. Actually, I wasn't able to
No
unmute
problem.
myself.
No
So, what I have personally faced in my life, like I am not a very experienced person, but still being a girl, being a female, that too in a country like India, I would say that I have faced a lot of stuff, and people usually like tend to laugh it off. Like there was this time that I was talking to a guy, and I wasn't feeling very comfortable with what sentences he was using, and I actually like thrashed him off with because I was getting aggressive more and more. I was trying to like um, tell him that see it's not fair, but he was like going on with it. So after like I got aggressive, his question to me was, "Are you on your periods?"
Yeah.
And that really hurt me to the core. And I personally think that even if I felt wrong, so I talked about it, I spoke about it because I can. So I don't have to be on my periods to be aggressive or like to make you understand that, dude, you're wrong. So there are a lot of things like as a student, I have a busy schedule. I don't have a lot of time to like socialize with my fellow classmates. But like when I tell people that, see, I'm not free right now, I cannot pick up your call and I cannot revert your texts, they laugh about it. That how can you be busy? You must not have that much of work. Like I am a busy person. I can be a busy person. So these are some perspectives. These are like very little things, but I think eliminating these little things can play a very like major role. And there is a great exigency for like busting these taboos, because I think these are the core myths. Like it's not about women with children or it's not about pregnant women. It's actually also about the girls. Like the girls, I like if I am being taught that see, you can speak whatever you want to with respect, but you can speak whatever your heart wants to. i'm I'm taught that, so I have the confidence. I can go to that level and speak to the people that, see, I'm facing this problem. Yeah, I feel like this woman with me is facing this problem. She is not able to speak for herself, so I think I should speak for it. So I am granted that voice from like a very uh, little age. But like we are having this meeting, and what I've noticed is, why are not we having like girls from, like we were talking about, the weaker sections of the society, or the rural sections of the society. I'm not like discriminating anyone or anything, but with due respect, why are we not having any girl from like a rural background, or from the weaker sections of the society? We were talking about words play a very important role in our lives. I get encouraged by words. I am encouraged right now by all the beautiful girls who spoke. uh, but I think that if we had them included here, it would have been like better. They would have listened to what we are trying to. It's always in the form of um, relief groups or NGOs that we are reaching them. Why not like normalizing the fact that, hey, join us? I think that is what we lack. Like I read about Women Entrepreneurship Platform (WEP), which is by Niti Aayog, and a lot of people are not aware of it, including men. So I think that implementing a scheme or a platform is one thing, but like actually making people aware of it, both men and women, is very important. So that is my conclusion. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Moha, for the answer. And I personally feel that it's not just about introducing the policies or implementing them. If even if the government is 50% serious about it now, to just implement it properly, our India would be different. Not just about women entrepreneurship, be it any scheme or policy available. You will read that each 5-year plan, जो भी वो plan करते हैं, everything fails, right? And why the women or girls from the weaker section are not able to come up is they lack a lot of things. They lack resources, they lack the courage, they lack, the confidence to come up and speak. And that's what even I do as well. I never introduce myself as the founder of an NGO to, doing something great that people are not doing. I always ask them to join us. ठीक है, मैं resume भी नहीं लूंगी. Just join us if you have the passion, and you just work upon the things you have ideas about. Run your own campaign, and then I see the fire into the people. People from different sections, even the economically weaker section, when come with us and work on that domain now, it's very different from executing the things which is into my mind, because यार मेरा गांव तक नहीं है, so I have no idea about the rural areas. I'm being very confident about it. So I always ask them to come up and work along with us so that they can, answer to all the issues that they are facing on the ground level. So thanks, Mohan. Thanks for the answer. So the last question.
We have Ume Hani also with us. So if we can take her, take her also.
All right. All right.
Sorry.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to answer Moha quickly because she posed a question to us, which was, why should we have more representative population, if I may say, from the, if I may say, not so representative areas of our society. Number one, Moha, being a father to 2 young daughters, I believe every daughter is same for me. I mean, every girl is a daughter more or less to me. But having said this, Bacha, see, we are not the government, right? I'm an entrepreneur and we have our own limitations. And I would like to talk about the limitation. We possibly do not have the wherewithal, or possibly our voices couldn't be heard by them. Hence, they are not part of this conversation. I would have loved as much as I would have. But just to answer very specifically that in our own humble capacity, we could reach out to only 150 people, right? 150 schools, if I may say. But there are 15 lakh schools in the country. So it's just a start we are making. I'm not saying that we will not try that. By no means I'm saying that I will not try that, but certainly it's a beginning. And in the beginning, you take pride in what you can do, right? And I'm sure you'll appreciate that. Having said this, good you brought that point, and I'm so happy that you are empathetic about that entire bit. And I've been listening, as I said, I listen to every bit you are saying, and every one of you, in fact, what you are saying, because it is making me feel proud that this is what the mindset should be. We're not judging you, and we have not the right and wrong answers. This is your opinion, and you're entitled to one, if I may say, right? And that's what the diversity of opinions is all about, till the time our country is democratic, right? I believe there are a few more speakers on this panel itself. Let's speak them, and then because it's about entrepreneurship, I would like to add a quick dimension which you all will like. I'll tell you where I come from, because somehow I feel we're taking very strong positions already in this conversation, which is good, but have to be a little more, I would say, polite on yourself and other people as well. Okay. So Priya, over to you back. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gaurav. And rightly mentioned, it's about your opinion, and be free and speak from your mind and heart while putting out your opinion, right? And so the next question is from uh, Umehani. Now you're available, right?
Yeah, yes. Hi.
All right. Hi, Ume. How are you doing? Am I audible to you?
Hi, I'm doing well. My name is Mehani.
All right. So the question from you is, what is the impact of economic transformation on the development of the status of women in the world? Shall I repeat?
Yeah, can you repeat?
All right. So what is the impact of economic transformation on the development of status of women in the world?
So as we can take example for as India, as we can see before, there was like very less amount of women entrepreneurs, and if we see now, there are more women entrepreneurs, and due to that, there's rise in economy, and women are now more educated, and they are more educated, and now they are more financially stable, and yeah, that.
Yeah, so take a deep breath, yaar. Matlab, don't feel like you're speaking in front of these many people. I mean, these are really less. You can speak in front of thousands of people. All right. So just take a deep breath, be confident and speak. What? All right, all right. Just tell me, what is economic transformation according to you? Not talking about women. What is economic transformation? Or what is economy? What do you think is economy is?
Economy is what people earn and provide to government.
All right.
For
So
country.
when people earn and spend in a particular country, that becomes an economy. In simple word, बहुत ही layman है. Economic transformation. ठीक है. Let's take an example of the farmers. All right, not talking about women here, farmers. When we introduced digital payments in India and asked the farmers to be aware about the things like UPI apps, that was a digital transformation which helped into economic transformation, isn't it? Because earlier farmers were not aware about what banks are. If even if they know what banks are, they do not know how the functions are. You know how they perform certain functions. Deposits kaise hote hain, what is the interest rate, and how can they benefit from it, right? But due to digital transformation, farmers are able to do this. Now, just take the whole scenario, similar scenario, and create for women. If we introduce the same kind of mindset, introducing something innovative to boost the economy of the nation, that is called economy or economic transformation, right? Because each person adds value to the economy, be it men or women or homo, right? And in that way, the productivity, GDP, you are aware about the GDP, right? We increase the GDP. Okay. So I hope the question is now clear to you and the answer to it as well. So do you want to add something to that, your answer, or that's all?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So the next is Rakshita Sharma.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Rakshita. How are you doing?
Fine. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm not a morning person. I had a cup of I'll have
Okay.
another cup of coffee after it because I'll have to go to gym. So yeah.
All right.
So yeah. So the question to you again comes from the same that I asked from Umehani, that how do you think that economic transformation can help into the support or improvement of the women entrepreneurship in India?
Yes. I was actually waiting for this question to be raised. Okay, have you ever seen a bird flying with just one wing? No, of course not. So how can you expect an economy of a nation like India, to survive just on 50% of its population? We just need to normalize the fact that women in economy and women moving out of their home to work. We just need to normalize this gender bias when it comes to the progress of the nation, because at the end of the day, we all are citizens of India. So
Yes.
I think that economic transformation has really impacted women and has really made them understand that job is just not a choice. It's something that you need to do to be independent, to be able to take your own decision of life, because that is what empowerment stands for, being able to take decision of your own life. So I think economic transformation had really a huge impact on a woman. And today, in today's day, like women, they are literally everywhere. And I love seeing that. I love seeing women everywhere contributing. So yeah.
I love the answer. I wish I could record the specific statement that how can you, fly with one wing? You need two wings. And in order to fly, you need air, first of all. That is not present in India. All right, polluted air. Pollution, it's my context is different. Polluted air. Value is polluted air. That we need to change. So amazing answer, Akshita. Thank you so much. All right. So guys, I have asked question from each one of you, and it's been an amazing discussion, a very enriching learning experience for not only me, I think everybody listening to this. And if you have any question, you can just log or just type Sarvapriya Foundation. You can reach out to me personally on mail or mobile number is given over there. So I hope you all are going to have a great day today and a weekend. And please be safe, take care of your family, and be strong. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya. It was indeed a pleasure to have you. Now we'll have Gaurav sir for his feedback.
No, we have all the speakers done?
Yes,
all
sir.
the speakers for first panel?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hope we are not.
No, sir, I believe I'm left.
Yeah, someone is left. That's what I felt. Who is left?
Nitya Tiwari.
Yeah. Go ahead. Nitya?
Somebody left. Nitya is available?
Yeah, she is.
Nitya, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, I'm sorry, Nitya. I couldn't just when I asked question from all right. So I hope you understand. And
I was so engrossed in listening to you guys that I almost forgot that I also have to speak in such time.
I really thank you for this. That this discussion has been enriching enough for all of us. So I'm just thinking, what can I ask you, because the list has been already exhausted and I've talked about everything, but I'll ask because there is always things to talk about. The question would be, how you think would technology play a huge role into development of women and women entrepreneurship in India?
Well, living in a 21st century where everything is driven by technology, even now because of COVID and pandemic, we are more heading towards a better technological future in India also. It's only because of the pandemic, I must say, we should be thankful to the coronavirus that has given us so much access to online classes, the online world, the technology. I believe personally that women entrepreneurship and technology should complement each other, because it's only when in the technical era you are technologically strong, then you can move ahead of your dreams, follow your passion, do all that you can. And I believe that it's not only about entrepreneurship is not just only about creating ventures, but it's also about creating opportunities. And I think that technology will do great to that extent. And I was just reading a fact in Times of India a week before where I just found that 90% of US billionaires are self-made, and out of which technology plays a very major role. So how about we adapting that technology and creating a social, global, economic change in the society? And making India, of course, the leading economy in the world, with, of course, having half of our population women entrepreneurship as the leaders. So,
yeah. So do you think is there a downplay of the technology as well? Or I would say mention the media and technology. The conjunction of media and technology has a downplay as well. Do you agree with that?
can you repeat the question, please?
Conjunction of media and technology has a downplay into our society.
I believe that media and technology are two different aspects. Both cannot, because media can sometimes be annoying, like too much interference of media. Like I believe that actual women empowerment would come when we don't need such terms as women empowerment, when we don't need words like feminism.
have you ever heard that men empowerment or menism? No, no. So we want such kind of society where we can create leaders, and we don't need such terms as feminism and women empowerment, and everybody is equal.
Absolutely.
So and I believe that media sometimes get overrated comments, and like they are finding for a bunch of cringy things. So I don't believe that. It's my perspective that has so much to do with the technology. Technology is something different.
A minute, Nitya. Sorry to cut you off. The Z generation coming from this, your generation thinks that media equals to the anonymity, right? It's useless. But when we use the word media, it's about transparency, right? And it's always in conjunction with technology. Now, okay? So when you articulate the answer, talk about media from both perspectives. The media, which is respect to the transparency and translucent and opaque as well, which is now you see. But if you just follow even the news channels which were there before 2010, you'll realize that they were very confident with their views, with their opinions, and they were very transparent with the public. Okay, and yeah, it's very important for us to realize that when we amalgamate media and technology, that in a way that we are promoting the gender neutrality, will bring the change. Yes. So yes. Would you like to add something?
No, it's all right.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Nitya. And I hope I have asked questions from each one of you, and you really enjoyed the question answer round. So Aditya, I am yeah.
Priya, now we'll have Gaurav sir for his words. Also.
So firstly, I keep saying this, that number one, this is a conversation we are having. Every one of you were entitled for your opinion. Bhumika is showing her finger to us for that matter. She wanted to say something. You want to say something, but then you had your 3 minutes to say that. But nevertheless, go ahead and say this, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Thank you for giving me permission. And
30 seconds. You have to answer whatever.
Excuse me, ma'am. First of all, I don't want to say anything wrong, but I want to say that बिना नींव के मकान नहीं होता, बिना गुणों के व्यक्ति महान नहीं होता. बिना नींव के मकान नहीं होता, बिना गुणों के व्यक्ति महान नहीं होता. बिना महिला उत्थान के सभी देश का उत्थान नहीं होता. So if we will give a woman opportunity, I mean, my mother and my aunt is also an entrepreneur. So if we give a woman opportunity in rural areas also, they can prove themselves as they are in pottery making and kashidikari. And I also want to say that every woman dreams to say that अभी तो सपनों की उड़ान बाकी है, अभी तो सपनों की उड़ान बाकी है, अभी तो नया इम्तिहान बाकी है, अभी तो नापी है मुट्ठी भर जमीन, अभी तो नापना सारा आसमान बाकी है. So if we will give opportunity for women, then they can just.
Thank you, Bhumika. Thank you very much. Absolutely. I don't want to kill your thunder, but having said this, we have to do this in time. Okay, and you said your bit twice. Thank you, Priya, for moderating this session. Absolutely pleasure. Good. I mean, good to hear young individuals like yourself having a point of view, opinion. Obviously, you moderated beautifully, no two ways about it. But the good part is that we got to hear these young ladies. Was it the panel only of girls, I believe? Is that the
panel? Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was an all girls panel.
I wish we had a man as well. I wish I had a boy as well. Because, and I personally feel, sorry, I missed out. Had I seen this panel being all women, I would have really brought in a gentleman as well. But having said this, I will add a quick bit of it, and then we will go to the next because we are already short on time. Number one, Bhumika, Nitya, Rakshita, whosoever part of this panel, thank you very much. Good. You have a point of view. That's the important part, right? Good, bad, immaterial. Who's judging you? None of us is judging you, first of all, to begin with. It's about good to have a point of view. Now, my 2 cents on it. Very simply put together, women are the best entrepreneurs on this planet Earth, period. Let's not even discuss this. How do we do this? Or let me put it, my mom is the best entrepreneur because she is the perfect lady who knows how to manage the efficient way of resources of my family every day, 365 a day and years after year. She is always bang on time. She lends the emotional support to every family member, which is me, my brother, my father, everyone. She is the best entrepreneur. As I said, period, no, not even a discussion, not even a conversation, very honestly, right? So having said this, entrepreneurship is not about these fancy words, technology, not to take away anything from you. In very simple terms, entrepreneurship is about efficient means or way of using the resources given to you in the best possible manner. And a wife, a daughter, or a sister, I personally feel they are the ones who used it to the best of the capacity, at least what I can say, having seen it in my own family. I have no two ways about it for that matter. Now, empowerment, all that, you know, one has to really talk about this because our country really needs what I call it truly a true representation of our girls at the forefront. No two ways about it. We have for far too long kept them at the back, I would say, given them the role of the house. In fact, they are the ones who will now take the front seat, I would say. Men will do the chores now, I would say, and be ready. Every man in this group should be ready for that, including me, by the way, right? If I'm not doing that, I'll be thrown out of the house. That's the way my wife talked to me, okay? So having said this, that's true women entrepreneurship. My two young daughters, if I can be of one thing about them is that if I can give them this confidence that they will go and rule the world. Look at this late, I mean, I'm forgetting this venture, which was recently listed by this lady. I think it is Bumble. It is called Bumble. I don't know. I'm forgetting the name. I think it's Bumble, which is again done by a lady with a young kid, and she has listed her venture on NASDAQ or I think NYSE. And what a tremendous story she is, if I may say. Right? So that's what I wanted to say, that our mom is the best entrepreneur. You don't have to look far. Please understand this. Start appreciating a little more. So when you go back to after this session, give her a hug and say, you are the best entrepreneur I have ever seen in my life. Thank you very much. Next session.
Thank you, sir. Now the next session that we have is being moderated by Ms. Jyotika Kumar. Jyotika Kumar has been a former colleague to me, and now she is working as a fellow at Teach for India, where she aims to educate all people coming in from all the different sections of the society. As I experienced with her over the last 3 years, I have seen her working efficiently with kids and trying to make sure that each and everyone feels equal in the room and has a huge sense, has a huge empathy for each and everyone around us. Thank you, Jyotika, for joining me here. Can we have you and can we start the panel? Thank you.
Hi, Aditya. Thank you so much for the introduction. So I would quickly want to introduce the topic for our discussion. So Sustainable Development Goals are also known as global goals as described by UNDP and were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people enjoy peace and prosperity. To simplify it, the Sustainable Development Goals are the world's to-do list for the people and the planet. We all have tasks we need to do and a checklist to get through. A total of 193 nations came together and agreed on one common agenda for all of us that helps make the planet and our community stronger. So we will now kickstart our discussion for today. I will just let you all know the order of the speakers. If I'm mispronouncing anyone's name, please correct me. So firstly, we have Samaya Mark. Then we have Arahita Sinha. Then we have Soham Bilolikar. Then we have Rishikesh, Rohini Maji, Sharanya Saxena, Srimai Orugnati, Shazma Hassan, and Abha Agarwal. If I'm mispronouncing your names, please correct me. And I would now like to call the first speaker, Samaya Mark. Are you here?
Yes, she is here. We'll have to just unmute her.
Unmuted her. It's Samya Mark.
Samya Mark. I'm so sorry for that. I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question. So does individual contribution really impact sustainable development goals?
Thank you, ma'am, for introducing me. I would like to start with a couple of questions which comes to my mind. How do we feel as individuals about sustainability? Do we take responsibility for our behavior and daily choices, or as opposed? We have the impressions that it is something that concern other people, other nation, or anyone else except me. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need but not every man's greed. Individuals need to think beyond their society, their family, their caste, their language, and state. A societal change is a transformative process where small actions are fundamental. When practiced firmly, small actions lead to value change. A small change, like switching off the lights when not in use, is the very first step an individual can take. Turning off your laptop or computer when not in use are such example of saving electricity. Going online instead of printing papers, using paperless transaction to save paper can help us to save the cutting down of trees. The triple R, reduce, reuse, and recycle, is something common we hear and read in almost every street of our country and even online. Taking quick shower, close the tap while brushing your teeth, rinsing your clothes, or even washing your vessels to save water. The second step is to encourage our family to take initiative of organizing seminars, workshops, and even approach community to make them aware of resources we are losing every day, intentionally or unintentionally. It is time that each one of us adopt an energy efficient and green mindset and use the natural resources available and save them for our future generation. The best way to predict future is to create it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for bringing that insight. I really liked how you ended your conversation. I would like to call our next speaker, Arhita.
Yeah, hi.
Hello. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Close enough. It's actually pronounced Arhita.
Arhita. Hi, Arhita.
Hi.
I would like you to answer this question for me. What's the most important sustainable development goal according to you and why?
So, in my opinion, the most important sustainable development goal is the underdog, the one at the back of the pack. Goal number 17, partnerships for the goals. While it may not exactly be a life-saving matter, it is the base of everything else. This game cannot be won by one person, one company, or even just the government themselves. This is everyone's responsibility if we want to make it happen. Accomplishing goal number 17 is what we need to do to be successful in reaching all the others. I think this goal represents that we're all in this together as friends, as family, and as a species. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I really like your confidence. So I would now like to call our next speaker. We have Soham.
Soham, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, Soham.
Yes. Yes. Hello.
I would like to ask you the question. How do you think you can contribute to sustainable development goals? And how would you suggest others to do the same?
I'm Soham Bilulikar from 7th E. I'm studying in DDMS Piyable Reddy Public School. Once we understand the importance and convince ourselves about the importance of SDGs, every individual can protect our beautiful earth in their own way. See, we have only one planet. We cannot grow our food on moon or Mars and transport it to earth. So I think we should change our habits. We should change our habits and make choices that less harm the environment. For example, I can use a cycle instead of a motorbike, or I can use a battery operated or a solar powered electric vehicle rather than using a conventional fossil fuel based transport. Individually, I can reduce the CO2 emissions by letting my hair dry naturally rather after taking a hair bath rather than using a hair dryer. A hair dryer consumes energy and energy is generated by fossil fuels. So indirectly, if we are using a hair dryer, we are consuming fossil fuels. So suppose imagine if the whole world population uses the hair dryer, then there will be a scarcity of fossil fuels. Hence, to preserve the fossil fuels for next generation, we need to use them judiciously. Talking about other SDGs like no poverty, no hunger, good health, quality education, clean energy, and almost for all SDGs, we can start from ourselves. We can start from our homes. Suppose if you are earning more money, then we can share it with our mates, or we can share it with people who are economically poor. We can also create awareness about good health, and we can promote quality education, and even we can go to the nearby slums and train the children in our free time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Soham. I really liked your points. We can now have the next speaker, Rishikesh, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Rishikesh is not here. Rishikesh and Abha, kindly note, Rishikesh and Abha is not here. So,
All right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So now we can have Rohini Maji.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Rohini. Am I audible? Thank you. So the question I want to ask you is, do you think individual contribution can really...
Tony, beta, there is some problem at your level. बहुत background noise आ रहा है. Would you like to try one more time? If it works, yeah. Otherwise, please resolve it, beta, and then come back. Okay? एक बार try करिए. Unmute her, Akanksha.
Yes, sir. Unmute.
Hello. Can you hear?
Lot of backdrop noise, beta. Okay, get it resolved, and then we'll ask you to join back. Okay, Jyotika, please go ahead with the next one. Jyotika, you have to unmute.
I'm so sorry for that. Our next speaker is Sharanya Saxena.
Sharanya, kindly unmute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Good
Hi,
morning.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, ma'am.
So I would like to ask you, what is the one thing you can do in order to achieve sustainable development? And do you think every country will have to partake in order to see a large enough change?
Sorry, ma'am, can you repeat again?
Yes. What is the one thing you can do in order to achieve sustainable development? And do you think every country will have to partake in order to see a large enough change?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Firstly, we all need to contribute because a person can't do anything on big things on alone. Everyone needs to contribute in order to achieve something big. I personally do something in order to achieve sustainable development goals. For example, let's say water, save electricity. These points are already, we all know these points. But there are some other things, we all know these points, but we don't do these. If we do these, then there will be no problem on earth. Like we should save water. There are many ways we can save water. We need to save electricity. As others said, how we should save electricity. We can turn off the light when not in use. We can use our natural light instead of light bulbs in daytime. And we can use carpools to reduce fuel usage. We can reduce waste generation through prevention, reduction, recycling, and reuse. We can denote whatever we don't use, like clothes, books, furniture, etc. We all should all the countries should participate in SDGs in order to make Earth nice, habitable. If we don't, it's very late. If we don't wake up now, we can't live on Earth. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for that. I would now like to call Sri Mai.
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to ask you, what is sustainable development to you, and what happens if these goals aren't achieved?
Ma'am, sustainable development goals are also known as SDGs or global goals. Like since 2016, to meet these new SDGs, countries are to mobilize efforts to end all forms of poverty, fight inequalities, and tackle climate change, all while ensuring that no one is left behind. To achieve this global challenge, everyone must take action both here and around the world. So, if we don't follow the sustainable development goals, uh, maybe it will be difficult for us to live on the earth because uh, one example, reduce inequalities among countries. It's one sustainable development goals. Like too much of the world's wealth is held by a very small group of people, and this often leads to financial and social discrimination. And in order for nations to flourish, equality and prosperity must be available to everyone, regardless of their gender, race, religious beliefs, or economic status. And when every individual is self sufficient, the entire world prospers. And another example is due to COVID-19 complications, the most vulnerable groups are the hardest hit by the pandemic, and it has to put a spotlight on economic inequalities and fragile societies' safety nets that leave weaker communities to bear the brunt of the crisis. At the same time, social, political, and economic inequalities have amplified the impacts of the pandemic, and there are such simple ways we can start maintaining or following the SDG goals. Like everybody said, turn off the lights when not in use, take short showers, and use online. You have many platforms here. Use those instead of printing them on papers, writing on papers. You can use them online platforms which are easy to type and really easy to read. So I think if we don't follow these, maybe we cannot sustain on Mother Earth.
Thank you so much. I really like the point that you mentioned about economic inequalities because
Sorry, Jyotika, which class she is in? She looks like a PhD student to me.
she's in 7th grade, sir.
7th grade,
God. We are all mistaken. We thought this is SDG is your PhD thesis for that matter. Lovely.
Thank you, sir.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. All the
Thank
very
you,
best.
sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So now we can have our next speaker, Shazma. Is she present?
Yeah, she is here. Shazma, kindly unmute yourself. Shazma?
Yes, ma'am. The unmute option was locked by the host, so I was not able to unmute.
Yeah.
Hi,
Uh,
Shadma.
Good morning and
Good.
hello to everyone. My name is Shazma Hasnan and then I'm from London International School. I'm from sixth grade. My section is A. So
All right. I'm going to go ahead and ask the question now. So, what are some steps that we can take to make sure no one is left behind in an effort of establishing sustainable development on an individual level?
some steps that we could take is firstly we can follow the SDGs, which are called Sustainable Development Goals, which are also called as the global goals. So we can follow them. Like they were established in 2015, and they were known as to be like the agenda, the blueprints to be accomplished by 2030. And then no poverty means like no one should be left out, then zero hunger. And as because of the COVID pandemic, there's a bit of problem to work on it, but there's still people are trying their best to work on it. And so we can also make a good use of social media, like spread awareness about like you can do this and then do ourselves so that others see and learn, and then from them the others see and learn.
Thank you so much. Are you finished with your answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you so much for your insight. I really appreciate it. So I think now we can call Rohini if her audio problems have been resolved.
Yeah, we can take her, but I spoke to her. There is some issue, some work is going in, like around her house. So it is that sound. So first, what we can do is we can put up the question, and we will we will unmute her, and then we can wait for her to speak. If her voice is clear, then we can.
Sounds good. So I wanted to ask, how should we promote awareness about sustainable development goals?
Yes, ma'am. Everyone should be aware about the sustainable development goals. This will help to make everyone's future better. But we alone cannot change the world. We need everyone's help. We can create awareness about sustainable development goals by we can do campaigns with the help of our parents and teachers. We can ask our teachers to have sessions and webinars on SDGs, and then students can make videos and share it on YouTube so that many people can watch it and get aware about SDG. Teachers can give projects and holiday homework about this topic. In our school also, we got integrated projects on SDG. Students can write articles on SDG and put it up on bulletin boards in library, schools, offices, bus stands and other workplaces. Teachers and students can also have special assemblies on SDGs. With these small steps, we can make a big change and everyone will be aware of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Thank you so much. So I would like to thank everyone for their insights. The discussion brought some really important things into the light. And yeah, I feel like we had a pretty substantial discussion. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jyotika. I have been working on educating people about sustainable development goals for like around 4 years now. And this is something that I really never expected, like students from class 5 to class 8 coming up with such valuable insights. Jyotika and I have worked together on this for a long time. We haven't really seen so much of knowledge coming in from so young kids. It was really nice to have all of you. Soham, though you have already spoken, but you still want to speak something, so like 30 seconds. Yes, Soham.
Yes. Go ahead. Yes. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak here. So.
We are glad to do this, Soham, and we are so glad to have you on board. Now we'll be moving on to the next panel. I really see a lot of people raising their hands, but I understand, please understand that we are running short on time and we need to move on to the next panel as well. Yes, Soham.
Hold on, Aditya, hold on.
Suppose if you are, yes, sir. Suppose if you are.
Soham. What we'll do is after every panel, I think Jyotika didn't got enough time. I believe her knowledge wasn't really capitalized on this. So what I will say is the best way of doing is that I will also request all my moderators, Jyotika, you can start from now onward. You can also pose a couple of questions which you can open to the entire panel and let them volunteer as to who would like to answer that. Okay, we can take up a couple of questions from your panel, obviously on your theme itself. Okay, and we will then let one who wants to take initiative, which is a show of hand, and then we'll take up 3 of them as we see right now, Soham, Srimahi, and Arhita. They'll try to answer this, okay? So that even, I think Jyotika is not around. Is Jyotika around?
She is, sir. She is, sir.
I think her network has some problem.
Okay, I will take the questions on behalf of Jyotika for a minute. She's in a hill station right now, so probably a network issue. Okay, so the first question that I see coming is that Sustainable Development Goals is majorly about empathizing with society and empathizing and understanding that the society needs to work in coalition with each and every one of us. However, at times we see that our own differences come into the picture and we forget the ultimate goal. How do you think we can educate people on the fact that all of us need to come together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal? The question goes to Srimai. Srimai, you can unmute yourself.
Shimai, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah,
ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, sir. As you said, we can bring awareness on this by, as we Generation Z, now we have a powerful social media platform where I can share the SDG goals and just type it on the, just type it and share the content on those platforms and request your friends and my friends and have each one of them to tell 5 friends to set off a chain reaction. Those 5 friends go tell a 5 friends and it becomes 25 and it increases in number, so we can promote awareness like this.
Okay. One question, it's a pretty personal question. What is the Sustainable Development Goal that you feel most attached to, and why is it so close to you?
So, in my opinion...
The question goes to Rahita.
Okay, sir, I was just confused.
Yeah, okay. Completely fine.
Like I had said, my question was actually about which you think is most important. While I really believe that goal number 17, or partnership for the goals, which is basically all the nations coming together as a whole to build and work on a better and more sustainable future. I believe there's some other major goals in the 17 that can really change the impact of the world. I mean, take, for example, no poverty, zero hunger, quality education, women's rights. I mean, it's a whole array of amazing things that could really help to provide a better future for each and every one of us.
Thank you so much, Araita. Now we will be moving on to our third panel discussion, which is also related to a sustainable development goal, and it is also something that is being talked about throughout the globe, especially after Mr. Donald Trump decided to move out of it. To moderate this session, I have Diksha Suri. Diksha Suri is currently a law student and president at IPN in Delhi University. She is a curious and zealous individual who wants to create an impact on the world and people around her. As a student, she has participated in various model event tournaments and debates, and has also published a research paper on COVID-19 and international health and environmental law. As the president of ISEC, the world's largest youth-run organization, she currently leads a local committee of 160 members and strives to develop a leadership amongst the youth of India. Diksha, we are really glad to have you. Kindly take over.
Soham, we'll let you answer it later, beta. Okay? We could see you, but we'll give us this chance to complete these formalities and then we'll come to you. Okay?
Thank you so much, Aditya, and thank you so much to the foundation for
calling me here because I love discussions, and to moderate one is probably a huge privilege. So yeah, and I was here for the previous discussion as well, and it was really nice to see the kind of inputs that came out. So great job to everybody who's participating for the same. And yeah, now coming to the panel discussion for this session. It's about India on Paris Agreement. I hope everybody knows about Paris Agreement and its importance in environmental law and climate change. It's an international treaty that was established some years back, and the aim and objective is to have a much more sustainable future by 2030, right? So now just starting off so that we don't really waste a lot of time, I'm gonna like randomly just ask and call people, so you can be prepared for that. And in case my network is bad, just let me know, because bad network, so please just bear. And yeah, the first panelist that I have is Pragya. Pragya, are you here? Pragya, are you here?
Kindly unmute yourself.
Yes, I was not allowed to unmute by the host.
No. Yeah, we are.
Now I'm.
Yeah, we
Yes.
will. When we will allow, then all the students can unmute. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Stay alert
sorry.
on this. Huh? Yeah.
All right, Pragya, my question for you is, what do you think about India's stance on the Paris Agreement?
Well, I hope I'm audible. Okay. When it comes to India, India is well on track to achieve its Paris Agreement targets well before the target date of 2030. India has made significant commitments in its intended nationally determined contribution submitted to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in the year 2015 as part of the Paris Agreement. Recently, few months back, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about India's position under the agreement on 5th anniversary of Paris Agreement, he said that a switch over to energy efficient LED bulbs has helped save 38 million tons of carbon emission. Renewable energy is picking up fast in India. Its speed is picking up in India. India's renewable capacity is the 4th largest in the world. India's installed capacity of renewable energy has also increased by 226% in the past 5 years. Government of India has set a target of installing 175 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by the year 2022, which includes 100 gigawatts from solar, 60 gigawatts from wind, 10 gigawatts from biopower, and 5 gigawatts from small hydropower. Our Prime Minister also mentioned of recently launched National Hydrogen Mission and equitable and decentralized model of solar energy generation. On the world stage, India has pioneered 2 major initiatives, the International Solar Alliance and Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure.
All right, a very fascinating point of view. Thank you so much, Pragya. But I'm gonna like take a follow-up to the next panelist about this. I mean, yes, that's what Narendra Modi says, that we are on the right track to achieve our commitments by 2030. However, my question next is for Manik. Manik, are you here?
Manik, kindly.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Manik, my question to you is, do you think that taking into account the current reality of the country, where on one hand we have protests going on for coal mining and everything in Assam, and on the other hand we are talking about that we are on our way to achieve the 2030 mission for the Paris Agreement, do you think the Indian government is actually in practicality doing what it is supposed to be doing according to the Paris Agreement?
Yes, I think the Indian government is on the right track to achieve its commitment. The Indian government has has increased the use of renewable resources such as electricity by 40% and is trying its best to reduce the use of non-renewable resources such as coal and petroleum. The Indian government has also controlled climate change and pollution in many of its cities and plan to do so for the leftover ones.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Manik. Now, next is for Hazel. Hazel, are you here?
Yeah, she's here.
Yes.
All right. Hazel, how do you say that? How do you think that the people on a ground level can contribute to the Paris Agreement as individuals by making sure that they're not contributing to the emissions and everything? How do you think we as individuals can take steps towards that?
I suppose that on an individual level, people can contribute in many ways, even just by sitting at home, because recently, like the coronavirus pandemic is going on. So we need to keep our safety in mind, along with the contributions that are supposed to take place. So I think that the best way to contribute individually is like to start an online campaign to encourage India's population to contribute in every way they can. And that can be done by like replacing pollution causing fuels with green fuels while they cook or while they like have a campfire or anything nearby. And another way can be by preserving and planting more trees. And I think more important than planting trees, what's important is that we need to preserve the trees we already have. And that can be also done like the main thing is there's like this thing called slash and burn agriculture in India that's done by farmers, and that actually causes many wildfires and it destroys a lot of forest cover. But this is all being done at a point where India actually needs to double its forest cover to create the carbon sink. So they're like, because India also has a goal of creating a carbon sink that can absorb about 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide emissions. So basically what people can do is that they need to preserve the trees and they need to like stop the slash and burn agriculture because that destroys trees. And even if it's done, then it should be done at a scale which cannot harm many plants and the surroundings that help in the absorbing of carbon dioxide. And the last way that we can do is like we can like recycle waste whenever possible, be it reusing paper or reusing like the gases. Actually, and if I talk about on the governmental scale, then I think the government should like just lay green belts around every industrial corridor. They should make more green factories, and actually the government should increase employment opportunities because like the contributions we're giving to Paris Agreement is basically on the basis of reducing carbon dioxide emissions, and that also affects the GDP of India because people are facing unemployment because there's less work in factories, and because of that and unemployment is being done on a large scale. So basically the green factories that will be opened will help people to get employment and like settle more people. And apart from that, in last, we should just like contribute in every way. And actually, I just like the last part of my answer is that there can be a very big way of stopping the emissions. And that was actually by equipping fossil fuel plants with carbon captures and storage technology. So basically what it does is that the carbon emissions that come from a factory are stored and like rather than being left into the atmosphere so that they can be reused, and like that indirectly improves the energy efficiency of the factories. So I just gave like all the suggestions I had in my mind on an individual scale and on a governmental scale, and I believe that all is this like it's going to sum up into like as a big contribution towards the Paris Agreement from India.
All right, thank you so much for that, Hazel. Next, Aditya Thorat, are you here?
Aditya, kindly unmute yourself.
Hi, Aditya. I hope you're doing well. So just a question, a very basic and technical question about the Paris Agreement that is based on carbon trading, something that even the European Union has taken into account, right? So, do you think that the carbon trading is a sustainable solution for the future, or do you think it's exploitative in nature?
I am very negative about carbon trading. I mean, I understand the mindset with which countries approach it. Like they want to reduce their own carbon emissions so that other country can increase their carbon emissions. But I don't think that's good, because if we are trading carbon, if we are trading a poison, I don't think that's good for us to deal with climate change, and that should not be done. I think it's immoral. And countries also have a mindset of like making more money with carbon trading, but yeah, that's not good.
All right, and thank you so much for that, Aditya. The next panelist is Tithi. Tithi, are you here?
Yeah, Tithi, you can unmute
Yeah,
yourself.
greetings, ma'am. Yeah, I'm here.
Greetings, Tithi. I hope you're doing well. So, I mean, just to follow up about the conversations that have been happening, and something that I even mentioned earlier about how the government has been sort of giving us mixed signals about their approach and their stand on environmental sustainability and on protection of the environment, right? Now, let's say if you were the prime minister, what would be your work towards towards this? How would you be making sure that the Paris Agreement and the stance on environmental protection is clear to the people, taking into account that right now, again, like you have coal mining on one hand, you have pushing for coal being used for a lot of things, and on the other hand, you're saying, oh, we're on our way to achieve 2030, a target that we have set. So, what suggestions do you give for the government?
Yeah, am I audible? Okay. Not just the mixed signals that they are passing to the people. Energy should be promoted by the government. Be used with the help of the tidal and the wave energy. Though there's this, it is a lot expensive, and the technology is and the know how to requires a lot of planning. But the government, if it would have been my government, I would have promoted it much more. Secondly, if I say about the coal mining, then definitely I would restrain the coal mining. And coming to the third point, that the government now is introducing the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So here they are telling us to manufacture the goods in our country. If we see the economic and the sociological changes in the employment sector, so initially we had a lot of employment in agriculture, which certainly with the time moved to the secondary, the manufacturing. But now when we say about the Atmanirbhar Bharat, I believe the manufacturing sector would have a lot of employment and would need to generate a lot of employment, which further would lead to more carbon emission. So for that, we need to install carbon-friendly machines and the know-how to experience. Also, I believe that environment engineering has to be more promoted, and new colleges and institutions must be developed, and an awareness about this field should be developed by the country and the leaders.
All right, thank you so much for that, Tithi. Next panelist that we have is Tushara. I hope I pronounced that right.
Okay. Greetings, madam. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I hope you're doing well as well.
Yeah.
So now my question for you is, like taking into account how the how countries have been, and the history that we have with countries, and especially the Industrial Revolution and everything, right? When you look at it, the developed countries have like an advantage because they've already done everything that they need to do in order to make sure that their country is well developed. But on the other hand, countries that were, let's say, either colonized in the past or are that right now developing, they obviously have a greater amount of, the carbon emissions and everything, because they're still working towards the basics. They're still starting from the ground level. If let's say USA is at 100 and we're still at, let's say, 15 when it comes to developing. So with such differences in development all across the globe, do you think the Paris Agreement is fair for everybody? And do you think that it actually takes into account the the needs and the requirements of development for the underdeveloping or for the underdeveloped and the developing countries?
Yeah, ma'am, that's a really great question. Okay, to start with, the Paris Agreement has been very advantageous for all, for all the countries. It is made for being, being advantageous for all the countries. So we can't just justify like that, it is very, and it becomes an advantage for the countries which are underdeveloped. So Paris Agreement isn't that formal agreement that we have to follow everything it is given. Whatever we take a first step, it becomes a great change. So as you said, the underdeveloping countries who are starting from the ground level, it will be much more easier for them than the countries which are already developed. For example, if you say US, it is one of the most developed countries. But for them, the Paris Agreement might be a might be a burden for them because they had to start one more time so that the environment, for the environment concerns. But for the countries like India, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, all the countries which are underdeveloped, it will be very, very, very easy for them to start from the ground level with the best. I hope it answers your question.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Tushara. And now, like, just a follow-up for the next panelist. Next panelist that we have is Diksha Arora.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Diksha. I hope you're doing well. So, just a follow-up to what was recently talked about how the underdeveloped and the developing countries are still struggling to sort of make their ways more sustainable because of the lack of technologies that they have available. So I want to sort of, connect this to the recent Amul versus PETA controversy, wherein it was mentioned that, Amul went like, okay, we don't want to go vegan because this is going to put all of us out of, jobs and everything. However, on the other hand, the industry that the agricultural industry, it runs highly on carbon footprint because of the meat processing, because of the animal processing and everything that is done, right? Now, in this situation, what do you think? How do you like USA can adapt to it because they have technologies available to go vegan, right? However, when it comes to India, we're still struggling because we're still an agricultural country. So how do you think India can strike a balance between these two things and make sure that their carbon footprint is reducing?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I was muted by the host. I'm really glad I got this question because first of all, I think India so far did not have a good track record in like actually fulfilling the schemes that they have set up. So I think it's necessary for India now to like take a step and actually do something. And I think that what you said was really correct, that the developed countries have the technology and the financial resources to like change things that we can't do. So I think what India is doing good is India is insisting developing countries to. I think India's stance on the Paris Agreement is great though, because they are following a policy of climate justice and they are insisting that the developed countries help the underdeveloped countries with the newer technology that we can actually use renewable energy on, and financial help as well. Like India is insisting on a $100 billion like financial commitments yearly. So I think that can really help. And about that, like obviously if a country has the financial resources to change something from the ground level, that is something that we can't do. Like even our Swachh Bharat program did not go very well because we didn't have the correct resources for it. Things that we do have correct resources for is that is like the Namami Gange policy that is criticized a lot because it has so many unused funds. So I really don't think that in India the funds are going to the right place, and if they are going to for the right place, they are not being utilized correctly, because I think around 512 crores have been used for the river front development in the Ganga policy itself. That is just for aesthetic placement rather than actually doing something. So I feel like India really needs to take some like serious steps for their carbon footprint. I think what problem the government is doing and what my suggestion would be to not make the schemes very centralized, because this is something that we need to change from the ground level. And by making schemes like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan centralized, like even I'm sorry I'm mentioning Swachh Bharat so much, but like it had a policy of like changing the open defecation policy, right? So it was aiming to make open defecation free policy. But the problem is not just that there are toilets now, but they are not clean. And to implement that, you need the help of municipality in every city and village to help the like clean water to be transported to them. And if the schemes are very centralized, and like the center is kind of overpowering the municipal, they can't do much in every city because they don't know the issues of that every city faces. And about the Amul and Pita argument as well, are like most of the people of our country are employed in the agriculture sector. So I don't think really right now we can even afford going vegan right now. Also, one thing that like I always say is that we can, like if we are worrying about getting food on our plate, then I don't think we are going to care if it is vegan or not. We are not going to worry about climate change first rather than poverty. But it is going to something this is something that I've always said, it is going to affect the people who had no hand in it the most. And I think that's what's depressing about it. India cannot afford to change the dietary system so much right now because so many of the countries are profiting off of it. But I do think that we can kind of, even in the COVID recovery, I think what we can do is we can supply the MSMEs with the uh, correct financial resources and just the correct technology and a better awareness to go towards renewable energy. Even the like you mentioned earlier, the coal mining debates and all of that. So even the UNFCCC report said that what India is doing is, even though we are promoting more renewable energy, what we are not doing is reducing the coal energy product generation that we were already doing. So if the consumption of that continues, still the coal is going to run out somehow. Not only that, it is going to create more pollution, right? So I think we do need to place a ban or at least reduce it in some sectors or something, the coal generation, because so much of our energy come from thermal energy generation is happening so much that we can't, like even if we increase renewable energy, if we are not reducing the things that are causing an adverse effect on the environment, I don't think we can do much about it.
All right, thank you so much for that, Diksha. Pretty insightful and pretty thorough. Now going next to the next panelist, we have, let me know if I pronounce this wrong, but Amog, is this, I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, Amog.
Yes, ma'am.
Amog. Hi, Amog, I hope you're doing well. So now, we've had pretty interesting insights into the Paris Agreement and everything. So what do you think are the pros and the cons, like the positives and the negatives of the Paris Agreement in general?
Students, I would like to mention, once you are unmuted, keep yourself unmuted while you are asked to speak. Okay? Yeah, Amog, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, good morning, all respected dignitaries present over here. If we use the Paris Agreement, there is many things that, like we can slow down the coal process, etc. Like Under the Paris Agreement, India has committed to cut greenhouse gas emission intensity of its gross domestic products 33% to 35% by 2030. The government has repeatedly introduced schemes as National Plan on Climate Change, National Clean Air Program, Swachh Bharat Mission, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwal Yojana, Nami Ganga policy, etc. Saying that they are helping India reach its climate goal, India has made good progress towards meeting its Paris Agreement target. India has committed to achieve about 40% of cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel energy resources by 2030. In meeting, the Paris Agreement, Prime Minister Modi said an integrated, comprehensive and holistic way to tackling climate change. In the G20 summit, PM Modi also said that India aims to restore around 26 million hectares of degraded land by 2030. The main effect of the pandemic 19 COVID-19 on the threat of climate change, therefore, will not its growth impact, but its influence on national commitment of action. So I suggest to overcome from global warming and to increase the plantation. Green recovery plan for COVID-19, pollution under control vehicle increase, the use of solar energy and wind energy. And it is our duty to follow the steps taken by Indian government to protect our environment. Decrease the rate of deforestation too. So lastly, I want to say better environment, better tomorrow, save the planet. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Amol. Next we have Ishan. Ishan, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. My question to you is, there was this stat recently. So, like, the Paris Agreement was obviously signed in 2015, and after that, there was this statistic which says that India's carbon emissions increased from 2016 to 2019 in comparison to the previous the previous years. So what do you say about that? How do you think India has been contributing to the Paris Agreement if our carbon emissions are increasing?
Yes, ma'am. As we know, Paris Agreement is for depleting or reducing the carbon emission by several countries. And as you said, India accounted more carbon emission during this period of 2016 to 2020. It must be because of the development programs going on all over the country. As we know, several road transport projects are going on, and there are several other projects. So it is obvious that development will be on the cost of environment, and those records just simply say that. Now it is important that if the emission of carbon gases is increasing, then the government or the whole society should promote the plantation and increase the growing of trees, so that if that emission is increasing, and so we have to work in a positive way and reduce the carbon proportion in our environment.
All right, thank you so much for that, Ishan. Next we have Shishir.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Hi, Shishir. I hope you're doing well. So again, I'm going to quote a statistic that from 2016 to 2019, India's deforestation almost doubled, and afforestation has been like one of the primary things that has been suggested to India to make sure that they are able to take care of the environment. Now, again, such two different things happening in the country. How do you think? What is your stance on this? And do you think it's right? Do you think it's wrong? Do you think because the government says that it's a necessity to cut trees? Do you agree with them, or do you think that we could have had other alternatives?
Yes, ma'am. At some point, it is good to cut down the trees for development, because if we will not cut trees, then where we could do the construction work for the development. But as the government says, we have to cut the trees, but we should plant the trees according to that only, the how much we have cut it down on that particular area. So the government should plant some more trees as they have cut it so that we could reduce the carbon emission in our country. And as you know that our carbon emission has increased in the world. So India is on the 4th rank of carbon emission, 1.83 MT of CO2 it has produced, and after China. So so their afforestation should be there to reduce the carbon emission.
All right, thank you so much for that, Shishir. Next is for Himanshi. Again, a follow-up from whatever Shishir said. Hi, Himanshi. So, if you had to choose between development and environment protection, what
Yes,
would
ma'am.
you go for and why?
Am I audible clearly?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, yeah. So, so we have to agree with the fact that India is a developing country, and the fact that at some point of time, India would not hinder its growth. Developed countries already have, all amount of prospects wherein they are contributing the most as well, as you mentioned. India would not hinder any amount of growth that is happening from their side. The least it could do is balance both of them, which is close to impossible because it primarily focuses on the growth. What I would have chosen is a safe path. For instance, we all know what indigenous societies are. They are very close to the nature. They are very close to the environment. What I think is by promoting them, I am clearing all the paths. I am also working on the development, and not only that, I will, give nature a priority as well, because their aim is that they want to be close to the nature, and my aim is development as well. Both the things are very much balanced in this point. Now, speaking about India's, what India is already doing, we have to agree with the fact that it is, like a number one child balancing everything as far as now. Because if we see the bigger prospect of it, many of the factual information given by my fellows is very much correct, getting up to the hydrogen missions, everything, solar alliances. Now, what I think is that there are 2-3 main points that are not being achieved, like the forest coverage area that was met with pretty much a very big concern that, the forest area, we have to double the prospects of it. And what I think is Irulas in Tamil Nadu. So they're protecting snakes as well. If we go about like these statements, for instance, vegans, talk about vegans, lab cultural meat can be expensive at one point, but it's like, it's a very good point of sustainability as well. Speaking about other prospects, we have to consider that India has to be optimistic already, but the fact that it has to grow he has to like consider every prospect of it, and the fact that it's like not one country that's promoting the most of the global emissions. The priority of this should be to the developed countries, big China, big US, big the other countries as well. So I think the more burden should be in that, and there should be sort of differentiation in the Paris Agreement for that, which I believe that is already being implemented. But the fact that this should be a top priority of the Paris Agreement, the developing nations should be provided some sort of negotiation. Developing nations should be having some sort of prospect wherein they give some sort of they be less stringent to the developing nations for the same. Agreeing to the point, I already mentioned that I'll choose a safe path, but at one point, if environment is not there, there's no use, there's no point of everything, no development, anything that we prospect in or just targeting on. So I just think that balancing both the stuff can be essential, but agreeing to everybody's point, development, the priority of India should be development, but in the future, if it developed or something like that. So I think there is something called as an anthropocentric point of view, which means that you move it with laws and restrictions. In spite of giving perspective, the government should implement it. For instance, ban some sort of things that are promoting all of that. So I think an anthropocentric point of view is getting to the edge, wherein that they should have the perspective of enforcing it, not wait for the population to. So they should firstly achieve the development goals, the development to get a developed countries
sort of thing, and then enforce laws, not taking anybody's perspective, because as we know that once we do and people acknowledge the fact that yes, it is very much helpful, they'll contribute itself. And awareness campaigns are very efficient, and not only awareness, I think proper awareness. If government gets small what do we say, societies, or small it forms societies that are targeting or made, we have government professions, this should be a profession, this should be a top priority to just this should be sort of a profession, a top priority, that this is a team of people working specifically on the Paris Agreement. So this is my point about that. Thank you so much, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Manshi. Very interesting point of view. I'll sort of come to that towards the ending note or whatever. But yeah, now we have the last panelist. Arya, are you here?
Can you please repeat the name?
Arya.
Arya. Yeah, Arya, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Arya. I hope you're doing well. So, now that we've had like a pretty long discussion about the Paris Agreement, I want to know from you, do you think the Paris Agreement will be successful? If yes, then why? And if not, then how can it be improved and made successful?
We all need to contribute. We all need. Many countries are not providing specific. Many countries are not meeting the requirements they need to, and it can be possible. Would you repeat the question, please?
I was saying that, do you think the Paris Agreement will be successful? And if yes, then why? And if no, then how can it be made successful?
Yes, it can be successful, but we need to take small steps for that. Many countries are underdeveloped, and the developed ones, developed ones should help the underdeveloped or the developing countries. And India, to my point of view, India is not doing enough. There are many ways India can help. It's a route no country has ever taken, but it's possible. Our government needs to plant solar and wind, replacing coal-fire plants. Second, India will need to extend the reach of renewable energy to power sectors of economy, and India must become more energy efficient. And rising renewable energy makes the power grid cleaner. So India should consider building thousands of gigawatts of solar wind power, considering the fact that India is blessed with abundant sunshine. And India can also contribute by planting some trees in Rajasthan, and it's possible because one of the China's restoration cubic is ecological restoration has tried that with 75 different plant species. India could also do that, which can help in reforestation and which can reduce the temperature, and the requirements can be fulfilled properly.
All right. Is everything done, Arya? Anything more you would like to add?
Yes, ma'am. One more point. Government should also increase the efficiency on public transport so that people reduce the usage of their own vehicles, and the road accidents will also prevent. And leading companies like Tata and Reliance should shake up hands with a government to raise funds and production for renewable energy resources.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Arya. And yes, with that, we are done with the panel discussion. However, I just wanted to say something for the people that participated, that you should definitely read the book called Homo Sapiens. It's going to give you a better insight into the history of humans as a whole, because it will tell you that this is not the first time we're destroying the environment. We destroyed environment long back, and it's sort of like a habit for Homo sapiens to do that over and over and over again, right? So it's very, very important for you to read about that, to understand that, so that you can understand what are the possible and future implications of what we're doing. Because I know development is important, but trust me, when you look at it from a bigger picture perspective, from 20 years from now, 30 years from now perspective, you'll realize that development is of no use if you don't have air to breathe, if you don't have proper air to breathe, right? And that's what the COVID-19 pandemic sort of taught us, that we all need to breathe. We all need to be able to get that kind of safety in our environment before we can go ahead and develop, right? So definitely do take our time to read about things like this, because I'm pretty sure that's going to really, really help you forward. And yes, with that, thank you so much, IPN, for having me here. I think the panel discussion is
Over to you, Gaurav sir.
Firstly, thank you, Diksha. Thank you for doing this for us. I thought is Aditya around? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I think from running behind the schedule now, we are way, I would say, way ahead of schedule, if I may say, right? Wonderful. So I think we have now good time. So what we can do is that we will obviously really give the time to our students for take a longish break. I would say that this comes as a pleasant surprise. So firstly, that is one thing. Obviously, I'm just quickly checking if we have not left out anyone by any chance, which is that it was supposed to be in the previous 3 panels and somehow we missed you out. If at all we have missed you out, please put up a show of hands so that we can let you say your point of view. And as I was mentioning to the previous 3 panelists as well, that after every panel, we'll actually be posing you, say, a couple of questions, okay, which is purely, which can be either taken up by Aditya or anyone else, which is that we will give you a very generic question and that it will be open to the entire panel. And we will only take up the first 3 best sort of, or I would say first 3 show of hand to answer those questions, provided you want to answer them. Okay, it's not mandatory that you have to answer it. Okay, so in fact, I will quickly set the context going so that it is now clear. Now, for the previous panel, the panel which I think Diksha was moderating, to the only that panel, my question, one question to all of the panelists, and we will let only first 3 show of hands to answer that, which is that more or less it was covered in that way, but at your own individual level, which is that do you think apart from agreements like Paris Agreement, there is anything in specific which is, say, as a student body or a student voice, you would like to recommend to the government of India or the state government of yours, that's similar on the line of a Paris Agreement, something can be done at an indigenous level in our country, because Paris is an international agreement, and I mentioned something for keeping and obviously the understanding of our country in view, right? So first 2 show of hands to me is Diksha and Hazel and Thushara. These will be the 3 girls who will be answering this question of mine. So I'll start with Diksha. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I think one thing I would be suggesting, it wouldn't be a new policy because I think we have good policies. The thing is that we are in it for the wrong reasons. Even I would say even the International Solar Alliance, which our Prime Minister got the Champion of the Earth award for, I think we are in it for the geopolitical influence than we are for it to go against climate change. All the schemes that we are like planning and all, there is a reason that the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana didn't reap as much benefits as it should have, even though it had so much funding. The thing is, we are doing it more for the political influence, whether within the country or like out, like all over the world. I think all countries are in fact in it for the wrong reasons. I have witnessed some of the meetings, like the G20 summit that also discussed Paris Agreement once. It was more of a blame game than actually discussing what the countries could come together globally to do something.
Okay.
So I think
One more thing, Disha, we have to be very precise in answering this so that we give everyone a chance and we have to still have a time. But you have a lot of good point of view. So my compliments to you on that, but you have to restrict yourself under 1 minute. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll keep that in mind. So I think that's it. That's the problem that we are facing. We are in it for the wrong reasons. We are in it for the political influence, geopolitical influence, and we are giving justifications for our action, like even the coal mines, and not expanding our forest cover. We are giving excuses for it rather than doing actually something about
Wonderful.
it. So that's
Wonderful. Good point of view. You have a lot of good substantive data-driven points. You're not just emotionally driven on your point. Wonderful. Good speaker. Hazel, you'll have to, yeah, Hazel.
Yes, sir. Sir, so I basically think that India focuses a lot on the renewable energy, and it's kind of like neglecting the fact that we even need to preserve the existing fossil fuels that give us carbon. So like I already have told in my previous answer that like the many ways we can actually preserve those fossil fuels, and indirectly it was actually that. So, but that was just like a part of my previous answer. But what I want to say here is that before creating any policies, it's important to educate people about the energy-based automobiles, because they will sum up to be a very huge contribution towards the global goal, like India, like leaving India alone. So we need to educate people and like tell them why is it so important to switch to energy-based automobiles, such as electric cars and electric bikes, or even like switch to cycling around if you don't have enough finance to do that. So like just like we have to cause less pollution in every way possible. And due to the switching to the electric cars and all, the petrol pump business would definitely have a downfall. But in order to decrease pollution, this is something that needs to be done. And those can be replaced by electric charging stations or like storage of our resources for healthy use instead. And coming to the topic of like indigenous automobile companies, then India has many great companies such as Hero Electric, Tata Motors, Ather Energy, Mahindra Electric, and many more. And even not so known companies such as like Lohia Auto, BYD Electra, 22 Motors, and Ashok Leyland, etc., etc. So apart from switching to electric automobiles, these companies even help in the Make in India initiative and like make India economically strong and independent. And by this, India would even have an increase in the GDP. So like in this, it has like mostly all the plus points except for the downfall in the petrol industry. But I think that's also a positive point, like because it will help us reach our goal.
Fair point. That's what I said. You have to still say this in under 1 minute. That's the point. Okay. Good point. As I said, Tushara, your point of view quickly, and then we.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. Before I speak, I would like to just quote something. Irrespective of how the culture changes, the people change, plants and animals change.
You have it in 1 minute, precisely. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, sir, I'll complete it within 1 minute. No issues.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Irrespective of the situations changing around us, Mother Earth will not change anyone and anywhere. So by making agreements, we are just limiting ourselves to protect the Mother Earth. So for me, in my perspective, I think agreements shall be made. I mean, it can be made. But the only problem here is that we are limiting our options to protect our Mother Earth, as I've already told. So like the Paris Agreement, a lot of agreements can be made, but we have to take action individually. By ourselves. For every year we have a new year resolution, so why not add something like I will plant a tree today, so I'll do something, I'll not waste food today, I'll not use electricity today. So something like that, like a new year resolution, you can do something very different other than making a long agreement, that too wasting papers and online. So that's all my answer.
Be the change you wish to see in this world.
Exactly, sir.
Wonderful. The idea is to make you guys speak. We don't want to speak, but at the same time, you should be speaking precise, to the point, and when the question is being asked, you have to answer that, because at the end of the day, we have limited time, right? So wonderful, all three of you, the full points for initiative and good replies. Now, I move on to, so I thank to all my previous moderators and the previous panelists, but please understand this. We have to stick around throughout the day. The idea is that while we are part of our panel, At the same time, we have to be part of the other panels as well. Okay, number 1 point. However, before we go into the lunch break, we have a very special guest with me, a dear friend of mine, and I would like to quickly introduce him very, very briefly, and then we will have a message from him, and then we will break for lunch, and we will resume back at 1:30. But before we go there, as I was mentioning to you, that we will be doing a show of hand or your presence mark after the lunch break. So that understand that we will need to see all of you resuming back, because there is an important announcement to be made, which is concerning all of you for that matter. Okay, so that's where we will go. And having said this, I will quickly like to welcome my dear friend Mohammed. If you're there, firstly, if I can have a quick show of hand, if you're there. Yes, he is here. So I have made you the co-host, I believe. Let me quickly make you the co-host so that you can unmute yourself, right? And as I said, firstly, to me, he doesn't need any introduction. He is very, very popular among the youth of India. And in fact, he's a very, very, I would say, strong personality, very brilliant orator. And for me, his best introduction is he's a dear friend of mine. And I would say he is almost my age, so he's my brother. I won't say younger or elder, but he's my brother. So having said this, I firstly thank you for accepting my invite to be with us. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And a lot of things, he's been an armed forces personnel. He's been an IM graduate. He has possibly done more TEDx talks than anyone else on this planet Earth, which I know. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hand together as I welcome Major Muhammad Ali Shah, our guest and our speaker for this interesting session ahead. Major, over to you.
Thank you, Gaurav bhai. Wonderful. It's a pleasure to be here amongst you all. How are you all? First, let me that. Just a thumbs up if you're good. How the Josh? How the morale? You all are good? All right. It's amazing, amazing. Great to see you all. Thumbs up. Superb. I'll tell you a small little story, guys. I was hearing each one of you speak, and I must say I was so impressed by your knowledge, your information, your content, your delivery, your style of conveying a point. All of you were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So on that, connecting to that slightly, I'll tell you a small story. Brilliant. Thumbs up or no? No thumbs up. So I will not tell the story. I'll give you a lecture. I'll give you a very boring moral lecture. I'll give you a sermon rather.
A lot of thumbs up. We were
all right. Okay.
Broke for a while. Yes. Yes. Which is why.
Right. So on second thoughts, I will not give you a boring moral lecture or sermon. I'll tell you a story. So being the co-host, I'm also getting these people to admit. So I will just admit these people in the meeting room. All right. Now, this story is of a little boy, the student who is amongst us right now. All right. Yeah. I've seen the name. So the story is about one of us over here, a real life story, a true story. And the person is right here. And the person might be in for a surprise because the person may not be expecting that I know so much about that person and I will speak about that person. Yeah, it's one of you only. And now all of you are wondering. But it's not about a boy, it's about the student. So it can be a girl as well. So I'll tell you about this little child. This little child, as an even smaller child, couldn't speak. Couldn't speak at all until about 3 plus. And when the child began to speak, that child would stammer, stutter, lisp, get stuck while speaking. Very shy, underconfident, timid child. Everybody would make fun of that child. That child didn't have any friends. Nobody wanted to be friends with that child, in fact. Started growing up, graduating to one class or to the other. Finally, the child came to class 7th. And in class 7, that child thought, okay, I will break the shackles, I'll break the barriers. So what? If I stammer, stutter, lisp, if I practice hard, everything is possible. So that child took part in an elocution competition in school. Went on stage. And do you know what happened on stage? In the front row, there was this other student sitting. Now I'll tell you, I'll to kill the suspense a bit. The story is about a boy, not a girl. So the girls can be relieved. But again, about this girl, who I'm not sure would be in this webinar, that girl was sitting in the front row, in the first row. So that guy had a crush on that girl. And the moment he saw her, he forgot his lines on stage. Can you beat that? How embarrassing it is. You are on stage. You have your teachers, you have guests, some parents are there. You have your juniors, your batchmates, your seniors sitting and watching you. And you forget your lines. Oh God, crazy. Oof. Crazy, absolutely. Crazy. And the moment that boy forgot his lines, he could feel his feet were actually shivering, his hand was shivering. He had a paper in his hands that what if I forget my lines, I'll refer to the paper and I'll read. He forgot where he was to read from. He couldn't match where he was reading and from there. And hands are shivering, face is like turning red, ears are red, hot. And his feet became cold. Now he felt, now what do I do? So he just said, thank you, and went and sat back in the seat. And everybody was looking at him and laughing. Everybody was laughing at him. And he could see, he could sense the vibration, everyone looking at him. Could I do that? How could I forget on stage? After the competition got over, everyone made fun of that little child, of that little boy, everybody. And he was in a boarding school, mind you. So now, many of you I can see being relieved. It's not my story. That night, that little boy didn't sleep. He cried. He cried a lot. He kept crying. He cried a lot. He was feeling homesick. He was missing his family, his parents. And he kept crying. And he swore to himself that such a mistake will not happen again. So he went to his classroom. Like in boarding school, there are dormitories on top. The classroom would be close by downstairs, right? He took out his English reader and he started reading. He read the reader once, twice, thrice, 4 times. By the time it was morning, he had to go for his PT parade. He went for his PT parade, came back, breakfast, first class, English class. Asked, who will read? Now there were different batchmates of him. You know, there was this girl Saida. She was there. No, not the Saida who's here with us, but a different Saida was there. And there was Shishir. Shishir was the in class. All right. And then there was Aditya. Aditya was always the gold medalist. No, not Aditya Anand, but a different Aditya. And Sohani was there. Akanksha was there. And there were different students all in the class. So everyone thought probably Akanksha would lift her hand and she would read. No, not the one over here, but I'm talking about, there was a different Akanksha over there. So now this little boy who couldn't speak raised his hand right on top, stretching it. I will read, very enthusiastic. Let me admit the, yeah, okay, being the co-host, I was admitting. So anyhow, everybody was surprised that this useless, good for nothing character is going to read. Let's hear what he reads. Now there's a difference between reading, reciting, and speaking. Speaking is something what we are doing right now. We are speaking, right? Reading is when you would read, and reciting is if I have to recite, say, Rudyard Kipling's poem, If, or Abraham Lincoln's letter to his son's teacher, then I would recite. So when the teacher said, okay, you come forward, you read. So he didn't stand, he went ahead of the class, very confidently, took out his English reader, and it was William Shakespeare's play, The Merchant of Venice. So there was a speech in that, the Shylock speech. He took that and started reading, and the boy who would stammer, stutter, lisp, that same boy who couldn't pronounce his name properly, started reading. He has hindered me and disgraced me, half a million, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation, thought my bargains. And what's the reason? I am a Jew. Hath on a Jew eyes, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions, fed with the same food, hurt by the same weapon. If you tickle us, do not laugh. If you prick us, do not bleed. If you harm us, do not revenge. The will you teach me? And he went on and on. And everybody was surprised. There's this boy who couldn't speak is now speaking so well. Wow. Without stammering, stuttering, or without getting stuck. Without a single lisp. Everyone clapped for him. In the interval, in the break, in the recess, everyone came to him and, they would get a glass of juice and a bun of biscuits. So everyone came, and now people who did not want to be friends with him, because when he would speak, he would end up, there was a lot of saliva from his mouth would come. Please stay away from me. Yeah, come on, yeah. So now everybody wanted to be friends with him suddenly. And his confidence increased. He realized that, he can do it if he wants to. It's all in the mind. As the poem goes, if you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win, but think you cannot, there's almost a chance you won't. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win the prize. Out in the world, we find success begins with a person's will. It's all in the state of mind. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster men. But sooner or later, the person who wins is the one who thinks he can. So now he felt, now he could do it. After now, he had friends, he was doing better in studies, he started improving, and he took part in an elocution competition. Once again, he went on stage. This time, with a clear mind that he will at least win the third prize. If you see, research shows that a person who wins the third prize, the bronze medal, is always more satisfied and more happy than the silver or gold. There's a logic behind that reason. Why? The bronze medal feels that, oh, at least I won something, yeah. I got a prize. Good, yeah. I'm happy, I'm content. Silver medal, second prize, winner thinks, I just missed it by a whisker. I wish I got the first prize. And the one who wins the gold medal, the winner thinks, I'm under pressure now. I have to maintain that tempo. I have to come first again the next time. So he said he'll win the first prize. And no, the third prize. But when the result was announced, the first prize was, there was someone over there by the name of, can you guess who? There was someone over there by the name of Aditi. No, not Aditi Mishra. Not Aditi over here, we have over here. There was a different, there was Aditi Gupta over there. Now Ayushu Gupta is smiling at that. All right. So now, so Aditi Gupta's name was Nitya Chaudhary. Now Nitya Chaudhary, Mahi Chaudhary is now also smiling. So Nitya Chaudhary got the second prize. And the first prize, there was a girl called Diksha. No, not now Diksha Roda. Now Diksha Roda was smiling. It was a different Diksha Saxena. Okay. So they were Diksha was the school champ, the winner. She would always get the first prize. So they were imagining that probably it was Diksha's name is going to be called out. And then the winner's name was called out. And the first prize was to Muhammad Ali Shah. Yes, that's my story, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my dear friends. I'm the boy who couldn't speak at all in his childhood. I'm the boy who would stammer, stutter, lisp, get stuck while speaking. I'm the boy who this girl who I saw didn't want to date me. Where I couldn't speak at all. And people would be embarrassed to be seen with me. But that same child in the year 2019 became a TEDx speaker. Thereafter became an international TEDx speaker when foreign countries started inviting him also to speak. Thereafter, in 1 year, he ended up giving 16 TEDx talks. And there were more invitations to speak on TEDx outside India as well. But unfortunately, because of his other commitments, he couldn't accept them all. And then became, as Gaurav bhai rightly said, he became the speaker, the TEDx speaker and international TEDx speaker with the highest TEDx talks ever in the world, which has been totally unprecedented in the history of TEDx ever. So if the boy who couldn't speak at all gave so many TEDx talks, I see no reason, because you people are much smarter than any of me. All of you are much smarter than what I was. And I'm telling you right on today, I don't know with what very nice intention Gaurav bhai invited me, but I think wherever if I am being invited to speak, I think I am being invited to speak because, not because I'm smarter or more intelligent or wiser or more talented than any of the other speakers who will be in the audience listening to me. No. I feel I am being invited to speak because I've made more mistakes than anybody else in this world. And I've perhaps seen more failures, more humiliations, more rejections, more struggles, more hardships, more heartbreaks than anybody who would be listening to me. And as I say, only fools learn from their own mistakes. Why learn from others? So I kept learning from my own mistakes. I would like you people to learn from the mistakes that I made in life. And I know we are running short of time, perhaps. I enjoy speaking. I love speaking. I am on almost every national television channel every day. If you go through my YouTube channel, if you YouTube Muhammad Ali Shah, you'll find my YouTube channel there. Please subscribe to it, boys and girls. And please like, comment, or you may dislike it also. That's your choice completely. But subscribe, paka kar lena, and do share it. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you all. And I'm always there whenever you need me. Or I can tell you how I overcame my... Now you look at me speak and you say, yeah, this guy is not stammering. He's not stuttering. He's not lisping. Somewhere deep down my mind, I still have that fear. I hope I'm not stammering. I hope I'm not stuttering. Because those scars in your childhood, they remain, right? I'll end by telling the story of this baby elephant. This baby elephant in a circus, every night in the evening, the ringmaster would tie him with a small chain. So this baby elephant started growing big. And as he grew up, in his mind, he always felt that, oh, I am tied to the chain. I will not be able to move from here. But if the baby elephant wanted, it could have broken that chain very easily. The strength is all mine. As Rudyard Kipling says, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you and make allowance for the doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thought your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, or bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or wash the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with one or tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose, and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and snow to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, not lose the common touch, If neither false nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And with more, you'll be a man, my son. This poem is also written and kept at the National Defense Academy, the NDA. So when a cadet goes for his training to join the army, the first poem this is taught to him. I don't feel like concluding, actually, to be very honest, Gaurav bhai. Maaf karega bhai, I'm so sorry. I'm enjoying speaking to these guys, and I'm loving the smiles on their faces, and I'm loving the interest in their eyes, and I'm loving the spark in your eyes. All of you, each one of you. And I can see the cameras coming on. Thank Diksha for switching on the camera. Thank Nishi. Thanks everyone, guys. But I know I can't eat all the time. But I would like to tell you all, when Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of America, when his son was starting school, since you all are students, some of us are academicians, and Gaurav bhai, I really do. You have set up this amazing venture of yours. You know, I will tell you, before I came in touch with you, Gaurav bhai, now I'm telling this to you on a public platform. Before I actually came in touch with you, I'd gone to Dhaka, to Bangladesh, and that was for a TEDx talk here, of course. And there, this is before the pandemic, huh? People are talking about you there that time. I'll tell the story to you after this. So anyhow, I'll tell you about Abraham Lincoln's letter, which he wrote to his son's teacher when his son was starting school, and then I'll conclude. I promise. Then I won't bore you any further, guys. My son starts school today. It is all going to be strange and new to him for a while, and I wish you would treat him gently. It's an adventure that might take him across continents, all adventures that probably include wars, tragedy, and sorrow. So, dear teacher, will you please take him by his hand and teach him things he will have to know. Teaching him, but gently if you can. Teach him that for every enemy, there's a friend. He will have to know that all men are not just, all men are not true. But teach him also that for every scoundrel, there's a hero. For every crooked politician, there's a dedicated leader. Teach him that 10 cents earned is of far more value than a dollar found. In school, teacher, it is far more honorable to fail than to cheat. Teach him the wonder of books, but also give him quiet time to ponder about the extreme mystery of birds in the sky, bees in the sun, and flowers on a green hill. Teach him to have faith in his own ideas, even if everyone tells him they're wrong. Try to give my son the strength not to follow the crowd when everyone else is doing it. Teach him to listen to everyone, but also to filter all that he hears on a screen of truth and take only the good that comes through. Teach him to sell his talents and brain to the highest bidder, but never to put a price tag on his heart and soul. Let him have the courage to be impatient. Let him have the patience to be brave. Teach him to have sublime faith in himself, because only then will he always have sublime faith in mankind, in God. This is the order, teacher, but see what best you can do. He is such a nice little boy, and he is my son. So in this pandemic, we talk about entrepreneurship. I set up this online public speaking academy of mine, and where I help people in how to communicate better in a more effective manner. And many of those talks are there on my YouTube channel. You can please go ahead and YouTube right now, Mohammed Shall get a notification. I have kept the window open over here on the side. I have got notifications from, not bad at all, from 65 of you already. Thank you guys. You guys are kind. Thanks, Gaurav bhai. I loved it. And I'm always there for you guys. Take care, guys. Lots of love. Bye.
Wonderful, fantastic. See, the very fact that you spoke, and in fact, you brought what I call the required energy to the conversation, which is why I placed you right before the lunch. See, that's the strategic nature we think about. But having said this, wonderful to have every one of you here and smiling. That's the more important part, as I mentioned. Learning can happen. Smiling is the first priority of this conversation. So we had a wonderful first half, if I may say, right? We will break for lunch. We will in fact have an extended lunch, I would say. We were supposed to go at lunch, say 1ish. We are 15 minutes well in advance, if I may say. So thank you. Before anything else, thank you to Major Muhammad Ali Shah, a dear friend and a fantastic, as I mentioned, orator. And he proves his time and again whenever I meet him that he is always a treat to listen to, first of all, right? Thank you, Ali. And for everyone else who have been part of the first half of the conversation, wonderful listening to each one of you. But as I say, we want to keep guessing and keep, say, I would say, on your toes. We will be giving top 3 speakers from every panel. So the jury is in action. Everyone is being, in a way, not to say being judged, but then obviously someone has a better day than the other on this day as well. So we will like to recognize those top 3 from every panel, which means that the previous 3 panels which have happened, you all will be in fact rewarded from our side, and your announcement will be done obviously at the close of the day today. And having said this, which means that there are a few other important announcements also, which we will be doing at sharp 1:30, as I mentioned, which is concerning all of you. Aditya will be doing that announcement at 1:30. So we all get into a lunch break. We see you at sharp 1:30. All of you, in fact, who was from the very beginning and people who are yet to speak will be joining us post-lunch. Enjoy your lunch. Have a great meal with your mom. And as I said, what you have to go and tell your mom that she's the best entrepreneur, right? I hope all of you have already done that. If you have not done that, you should be going and giving her a good hug and say, today I realized that you are the best entrepreneur, by the way, and I was so underestimating you so far. Trust me, she will have the best smile on her face and you will have a great day ahead. Take care, everybody. We see you at 1:30. Thank you, Muhammad Ali, once again. See you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Lord. Thanks, Akanksha. Thanks, everyone. Bye.